Chapter 12:24. Mountain beyond mountain, receiving platform. The storm of battle had finally subsided. In the midst of the broken world, there was only one person standing. That was Ji-Wuri, known as the #1 genius of the Heaven Realm Central Shrine. Even when the mysterious person pierced through his chest in front of everyone, he was not in such a sorry state. At this moment, his body was covered with cuts and bruises, dripping with blood. Countless bone-deep wounds crisscrossed each other, making one's hair stand on end. In front of others, Ji-Wuri, who was always high and mighty like a god, could not even stand steadily. Blood dripped from the wounds on his body drop by drop. His tendons and bones were broken, and he could not even clench his fists. This was the first time in his life that he had suffered such a heavy injury. Everything was given by another strong enemy in his life. It was not the Titan you that Ji-Wuri had identified in his heart, but an enemy that he had almost ignored, the disciple of the mysterious person, one of the three great leaders of the Western Heaven Realm, Jiu Shao. What a pity! A voice seemed to come from the netherworld, but the moment it entered his eardrums, it was strangely sucked out by a black hole. So you had hidden such a huge power, no wonder you dared to boast so shamelessly. However, today is just the beginning. The battle will always be with you, until the end of your life. I promise it will definitely be an endless entanglement. Jiu Shao. Hearing this, there was a flash of anger in Ji-Wuri's eyes, but he quickly calmed down. He took a deep breath. He tried his best to control his emotions after suffering such a painful blow. Facing his enemy, the first sentence that Ji-Wuri said was not an angry accusation, but a sincere and well-intentioned advice. My former brother, no matter what kind of prejudice and hatred you have towards me, I will bear it silently and not refute it. However, before you happily vent your desire for revenge, I want to tell you something from the bottom of my heart. No matter what you think after hearing it, I hope that you can give me a chance to pour out my heart. Jiu Shao, after this battle, I believe that you will also feel extreme pain. We are both geniuses, both of us are the best in the Heaven Realm. We are both extremely smart, we both know how to hide ourselves, and we both coincidentally hid our strength from the outside world. In other words, from a certain point of view, we are very similar people, so similar that we are a pair of twins. The cold and creepy voice of Jiu Shao echoed from an unstable black hole in the sky that could collapse at any time. I don't deny that you are similar. Rather than saying that you are smart, it is better to say that you are cunning or selfish. We will never trust others. Even our most respected master is not someone we can trust 100%. So, Ji-Wuri, do you still want to persuade me? Don't you understand? Jiu Shao went straight to the point and sneered. People like you and I will not believe anyone but ourselves. What makes you think your words can make me change my mind? What a joke, not to mention you, Ji-Wuri, even if you are really my twin brother, if there is another Jiu Shao in this world, I will definitely not trust him. Agreed, we are both people whose left hand cannot trust their right hand. Ji-Wuri did not object. Since that is the case, why are you still talking nonsense? Jiu Shao snorted in disdain. I have never thought of persuading you, I just want to give you the most important information. Ji-Wuri looked up to the sky and laughed. We are both smart people, we should all understand one thing. The battle between us will definitely result in both sides suffering. If one side falls, the other side will definitely be gravely injured. You are saying that someone will take advantage of the battle between us to rise? Jiu Shao sneered. If you want to talk about Void, then don't waste your breath. Void is also a genius. He is destined to achieve great things in the future. Ji-Wuri shook his head and said, but he is not the one chasing after us. Not Void, then Mingyu Guang? Jiu Shao paused for a moment. If you are trying to shift your target to Mingyu Guang, I am sorry, I think your naive thinking will be difficult to achieve. Regarding Mingyu Guang, I only want to say two things. First, no matter what you do, you will not be able to stop her growth. It is only a matter of time before she becomes a god. Second, if you think that I will shift my hatred towards you to Mingyu Guang, then you are gravely mistaken. Even if Mingyu Guang will rule the entire Western Heaven Realm in the future, I will not interfere too much with her actions. She is not my enemy, not in the past and not in the future. Maybe in front of others, I will pretend to hate her as a competitor, giving the outside world the illusion that there is a turbulent undercurrent in the three great leaders. However, that does not mean that I really want to fight with Mingyu Guang or Void. I will be vigilant and guard against these two people, but I will not make them my enemy. What if I say Yu Taitan? Ji Wuri suddenly laughed. You have fought with him in the prison Emperor Divine Palace. You should understand how terrifying his growth is. I really want to kill him. Jiu Shao admitted that Yu Yang was a terrifying opponent. If we continue to fight, this Yu clan's third young master will grow rapidly in a comfortable environment where no one is suppressing him. Ji Wuri advised, he is the hope of the Tower of Babel. We should kill him first, and then continue the predestined battle between us. Dream on. Jiu Shao completely disagreed. What? Ji Wuri could not understand why Jiu Shao would disagree with him. You want me to continue fighting with Yu Taitan? You want me to provoke those people from Tong Tian Tower, then let Yu Taitan or some other ranker from Tong Tian Tower seal me like Prison Emperor did in the past. But this time, there are no more guardian warbeasts outside. When I come out, you, the so-called number one genius of the Central Divine Palace, Ji Wuri, may have already unified the Heaven Realm. At the very least, you have already plotted to seize the Western Heaven Realm and obtained my foundation. Jiu Shao let out a strange long laugh. Suddenly, his laugh was as sharp as a knife. Ji Wuri, you are wrong. Do you think I will be tricked a second time? What does the rise of Tong Tian Tower have to do with me? What does Yu Taitan's growth have to do with me? I, Jiu Shao, am not their first target. As long as I ignore them, they would be glad to have one less enemy like me. No matter if it is Tong Tian Tower or Yu Taitan, who is more talented than you, their target is only you and the central shrine behind you. He is your enemy. Why should I meddle in other people's business? Do you think I am an idiot? I will never go to Tong Tian Tower, that damned place. No matter what kind of words you use to tempt me, God's ruins, heaven's stairway, ancient treasures, godly grimoire. I believe that there are all these things there. However, I am very clear that there are some things in this world that do not belong to me. Things that do not belong to me cannot be forced. If the godly grimoire belongs to me, even if I do not do anything, fate will guide me to obtain the godly grimoire. If there is no godly grimoire in my life, do you think I will beg like you? Ha 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 ha, Ji Wuri, you are actually the number one idiot in the world. Everyone knows that the godly grimoire chooses its owner. For 10,000 years, no matter what you have done, you have gained nothing. Do you think you are qualified to have the godly grimoire? With just you? The title of number one genius of the central shrine is something you boast about. Don't you feel ashamed? In front of Dongfang, what do you count for? Even if we don't talk about that wise Dongfang and your truly talented master, there are still several people in front of you who are not inferior to you. You, who have the supreme master of the temple as your master, are only one of the 3 temple masters. Do you really think that you have surpassed the other 2? Without the supreme master of the temple's master, without the best resources and the best opportunities, would you have achieved what you have today? Ji Wuri, this is the reason why I despise you the most. You have completely wasted the best growth environment and the best growth talent. Alright, I have said enough. If I did not like to see you being humiliated, I would not even open my mouth to speak to people like you. Continue to maintain your sense of superiority, my friend. Your arrogance has long covered your eyes. In your eyes, you only see the surface, not the inside of others. Maybe you have long forgotten how the conquest queen swept across the heaven realm. Do you think that you can unify the heaven realm? Let's not talk about Titan Yu or Ming Yu Guang for now. I want to say one last thing. If the Conquest Queen reappears, you will be beaten up miserably by her. Continue with your wishful thinking. What you are best at is daydreaming. Jiu Zhao's voice became weaker and finally disappeared. The black hole in the sky that was on the verge of collapsing was also unknowingly destroyed, turning into countless pieces of the void. Ji Wuri, who was floating in the sky, after being ridiculed by Jiu Zhao, had an extremely ugly expression. He knew that it would be hard to convince this stubborn enemy. However, he at least hoped that he could sow discord and make Jiu Zhao and Titan Yu fight. This way they would form a relatively stable iron triangle. Unfortunately, Jiu Zhao did not fall for it. Now, it had become Jiu Zhao and Titan Yu firing at him together. In the future, there would be Ming Yu Guang and the Conquest Queen who would appear at any time. He stood quietly in the sky and did not speak for a long time. He who had unwavering willpower would not feel defeated by Jiu Zhao's word. He would also not be affected by the previous bitter battle. On the contrary, he had slightly won against Jiu Zhao just now. Even if he did not use his final trump card, he had still heavily injured Jiu Zhao, who had been waiting for a chance to attack. Ji Wuri won this battle. However, he did not feel happy, because, to him, victory was a given. It was just that it did not overwhelm Jiu Zhao's body as he had imagined. This made him feel defeated and vigilant. Jiu Zhao, who had been sealed by the prison emperor for thousands of years, still had such strength. He had even forced him to use his trump card. It must be said that this Jiu Zhao was a formidable opponent comparable to the Yu clan's third young master. Master, why don't we advance to the God realm? We have been stuck at the quasi-God realm for too long. Wu Wang came out and stood beside Ji Wuri solemnly. If we all advance to the God realm through the forbidden power, we will definitely be able to crush Jiu Zhao. Wu Wang nodded and guaranteed. We still have 100,000 blood slaves. In addition to the ones in Mountain Beyond Mountain, it should be enough. After we finish absorbing the forbidden power, it should be the crucial moment when Dong Feng and Tong Tian Tower are fighting. We will wait for an opportunity to kill them in one strike and obtain the final victory. If we have unparalleled divine power, it will definitely be a piece of cake to wipe out this battle. Master, please do not hesitate anymore. Ji Wuri frowned and thought about the pros and cons for a long time. After an unknown period of time, when his body was almost fully recovered, he snorted. It is necessary to advance to the God realm. But before that, I want to see Wei Guang kill Titan Yu. If this person is not killed, Heaven Realm will never have a peaceful day. Although Jiu Zhao is scary, he is definitely not comparable to Titan Yu. If Jiu Zhao is a hungry wolf that travels thousands of miles alone, Titan Yu is a ferocious tiger that devours mountains and rivers. When this ferocious tiger grows up, all the rancors in Heaven Realm will not be able to satisfy his gluttonous appetite. Wu Wang and the others agreed with Ji Wuri's words. They only shook their heads with some difficulty. Although evil deity's Wei Guang is unparalleled, it is a pity that he is trapped in a seal. Ji Wuri smiled proudly. Don't worry. Long before we entered the human valley, I had already sent someone back to invite that person to remove the seal. Originally, I wanted to take the opportunity to devour the demonic god Wei Guang, but it's a pity that things have changed. Since it's like this, then let Titan Yu come. This time, I must stuff this brat to death. At this time, Yu Yang was resting leisurely in the grimoire world. He was enjoying a delicious barbecue. Yu Yu grilled one skewer, the sickly beauty grilled one skewer, the drunken cat Big Sis also grilled one skewer. Everyone grilled one skewer. Even with Bao Er, Nyo Nyo and the others helping to eat, it was still not enough. In the end, looking at Princess Qian Qian's obviously burnt chicken leg, he couldn't help but burp. Before Hu Nyo could retract it, The guy from another world, who threw caution to the wind, hurriedly snatched it and stuffed it into his mouth. Don't mention a chicken leg, I'll even eat a mammoth. You guys don't know, I have a nickname called the Invincible Stomach King. My God, how much salt did you put in? Did you mix the salt and sugar the wrong way? Girl, can you write give me some water? Maybe I can still be saved on my epitaph? If there is something scarier than being stuffed to death, it is being salted to death. Chapter 12:25. Tong Tian Tower, Meteor Shower C. Lion head, human face, sharp nose, 3 heads, 6 arms, and other heaven realm leaders were scolded by the young man who looked like a god. They were ashamed. When the young man waved his hand like he was shooing away flies, they immediately retreated as if they had been pardoned. They didn't even bother to take those poor sacrificial slaves with them. They soared into the sky and turned into meteors, flying towards the horizon. Those slaves who had escaped from death crawled on the ground. They paid their respects to the young man. To the pitiful and lowly people like them, this master was really a godlike existence. On the left of the young man was the elegant middle-aged man who had an elegant temperament like a scholar. On the right was a black-robed old man who wore a cloak and only showed his eyes. The way they looked at Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and the others was as if they were going to casually smash something that had increased in value, such as a vase. Of course, there was also a faint feeling of pleasure from destroying a budding seed. Standing on the left, beside the young man who was almost like a god, the middle-aged scholar who was also being worshipped by the servants had a smile on his face as he gently asked Fatty Hai, "Although we are willing to continue talking with you because we are very interested in the hard work of warriors like you from the lower realm of Tong Tian Tower, it's a pity that time doesn't allow us to have more exchanges. Before we destroy everything, I actually don't mind giving you a chance to leave something behind for your hometown of Tong Tian Tower. So, do you have any last words?" "I knew you would say that." Fatty Hai sighed. "A dog can't stop itself from eating sh*t." Yi Kong agreed. Very concise last words. The middle-aged scholar maintained a graceful smile on the surface and even pretended to clap his hands in praise. In fact, his killing intent could not be concealed at all in his eyes. "I heard that, in the central shrine, other than Jiwuri that pretends to be pretentious, there are many people who also like to be pretentious." Fatty Hai sighed. "For example, Hall Master Guang Zhonghua." Yi Kong nodded in tacit understanding. "If it is Hall Master Guang Zhonghua who comes to us to act pretentious, then it is fine. After all, he is a Hall Master, and he is indeed quite talented. It is not bad to scare a small ant. If he insists on pretending, we can pinch our noses and accept it. Who asked us country bumpkins to not have seen many quasi-god-level experts?" Fatty Hai rubbed his chest with his fat hands, his expression as if he was enduring the disgust. But, an idiot who doesn't even know what Supreme Zun's will is, and only relied on external forces to forcefully reach Heaven's stage level 7 dares to come and act cool in front of me. Damn, are you trying to disgust me to death? When the handsome middle-aged scholar heard this, his expression immediately changed. Anger and killing intent. It shot out from his eyes. The young man in the middle who looked like a deity stood out and waved his hand. "Don't be angry, what they said is true. You have indeed not completely comprehended the sovereign's will." Hearing this, the handsome middle-aged scholar's face turned red. His expression quickly changed a few times before finally turning respectful. Bowing his head. He bowed his head in acknowledgement to the young man in the middle. The black-robed old man on the right who had been silent all this while stretched out his skinny but abnormally strong arm. His fingers were like the branches of a dragon as he pointed at Xue Tan Lang who was sitting cross-legged. "Since this battle is unavoidable, I will deal with that young man. I like interesting young men." The middle-aged scholar looked at Prince of Tian Luo. "Then I will get closer to this little friend. This face really makes people envious." Prince of Tian Luo smiled. He replied politely, "Thank you for your compliment, If someone envies my strength, I will be even happier. Standing in the middle, the young man who looked like a deity glanced at Fatty Hai, Yi Kong and the others. Suddenly, he sighed inaudibly and shook his head. Then, he laughed strangely. Even though I had raised my guard, I did not expect that I would still be tricked. I have to say, in terms of growth, the warriors of Tong Tian Tower grow the fastest. They are also the smartest and most intelligent. Perhaps this is the reason why Tong Tian Tower can always rise up from the ashes. Just as he finished speaking, Lion Man Face, Rhinoceros Nose Fangs and the other Heaven Realm leaders who had just escaped suddenly fell from the sky in an extremely strange manner. Moreover, the meteor shower sea had changed greatly. The sky and the sea were no longer the same color. The space shattered like a broken mirror. When the dust settled, the surrounding space had already turned into a boundless barren land. The sky was gray and the earth was lifeless. There were no plants, no animals, and no living creatures. It was a land of death. There was no end and no exit. In this strange barren land there was no wind. The air was as stagnant water. The middle-aged scholar's expression changed drastically. He took out an hourglass and turned it upside down. However, he was astonished to find that the sand in the hourglass did not move at all. This is a dimensional world without time? How did you guys open it up? That's not right. When did you guys set up this trap? The middle-aged scholar's face was filled with unimaginable surprise. The black-robed old man was also slightly moved. In his opinion, it was already extremely rare for them to be able to deceive him and his companions. In the end, they even managed to deceive his little master. This was really too inconceivable. One must know that his little master was a young genius in the Heaven Realm who was famous for his maturity and prudence. It should have been buried previously. The energy from the blood sacrifice became the source power and trap for us to enter. The young man standing in the middle thought for a while and nodded. According to the intelligence in Tong Tian Tower, there is a ranker called Shui Dong Lu. Although he is not very strong, he is exceptionally good at the research of space and teleportation. Moreover, he is very resourceful and is one of the important teachers who taught the Yu clan's third young master. At the same time, he is also the teacher of the few geniuses in front of us. I think that there must have been a spy who leaked the information, allowing Shui Dong Lu to set up a trap for us. Not only did he successfully summon the disciples back from the Heaven Realm, he also lured us into this boundless land without the passage of time. Although this is a bold guess, there are many doubtful points in it. Fatty Hai denied flatly. The Heaven Realm is separated and there is no information. How did teacher know that we were going to return from the Heaven Realm? The time and place don't make sense at all. That is indeed the case. The young man guessed again. But let's assume that the wind-breath seabird had already returned long ago. That would make sense. You are saying that the wind-breath seabird has always been lying in ambush under the sea? Fatty Hai retorted with a sneer. She is a seabird, not a seahorse. That's not right, you have a seahorse. The young man standing in the middle made another correction. Actually, the one hiding under the sea is your guardian beast, which is that little hippopotamus. It is an important coordinate for you to accurately return from the spacetime crack. As for the wind-breath seabird, it had already contacted Shui Dong Lu a long time ago. Maybe a few days ago, when our information was leaked, it had already returned. Then, when Shui Dong Lu and the others set up a trap for us, it used some kind of skill or method to hide beside your little hippopotamus. These two must be inextricably linked. You boldly stayed in the spacetime crack to wait for the end. I have to say, your guts are bigger than the heavens. In order to lure us, you stayed in the spacetime crack for at least 2 days. Furthermore, because you stayed in the spacetime crack for a long time, your energy consumption was huge, and your body was in a state of collapse. Because you stayed for too long, you met the army from the Heaven Realm, and a fierce battle broke out. That's why you look so miserable. Wrong. Hearing this, Yikong snorted coldly and retorted, "Why did we stay in the dangerous spacetime crack? Wouldn't it be better to come out in advance to set up a trap? This is why I admire you." The godlike young man smiled slightly. "If there was no blood sacrifice, then you would have been transported to the exit of the divine tomb in the Guangming continent. Although your return is not a problem, traces of your failure will be exposed. In order to deceive people, and also to open up a brand new space-time tunnel for your Tong Tian Tower to communicate with the Heaven Realm and welcome back the real strong Yu Clan Third Young Master, you did not hesitate to sacrifice yourself to find a new space-time tunnel. Moreover, because of my subordinate's stupid cooperation, you succeeded. Don't even think about it. Let's see how you will welcome back the Yu Clan Third Young Master after I kill you all." The middle-aged scholar was completely infuriated. He never thought that these young people in front of him were so cunning. If the little master did not act cautiously and came to monitor the teleportation, these young people would have used those idiots to succeed. This kind of humiliation was absolutely unforgivable. The black-robed old man's eyes flashed with astonishment. If the little master did not come, then it would be too scary. Tong Tian Tower actually used the Heaven Realm's blood sacrifice to open up a new spacetime tunnel. Moreover, this kind of unimaginable action had become a reality. Looking at Fatty Hai, Yikong and the others in front of him, the black-robed old man felt a kind of old age. Could it be that he was already old? Or were the young people nowadays all so monstrous? These young Tong Tian Tower warriors had only lived for a few years. It was estimated that the oldest one was not even 30 years old. Not to mention Heaven Realm's standard, even if it was Tong Tian Tower's human lifespan, these guys were still wet behind the ears. But now, not only did they grow to such an unimaginable level, they were also cunning enough to plot against the Heaven Realm Expeditionary Force. Even if it was Tong Tian Tower's growth, this was still too unimaginable, right? If Tong Tian Tower warriors wanted to climb to Heaven rank, didn't they need a few hundred years? How could these little brats use only a few decades to complete this kind of natural moat? All of this is because of the even more unimaginable Yu Clan Third Young Master. The godlike young man standing in the middle saw the black-robed old man and the middle-aged scholar's doubts and explained in a deep voice. Tong Tian Tower warriors grow extremely fast, but even the conquering queen from 10,000 years ago or the prison emperor from 6,000 years ago did not surpass their predecessors by too much. They grew extremely fast, but the influence they had on their surroundings was far inferior to the Yu Clan Third Young Master today. According to the intelligence, this Yu Clan Third Young Master knew how to endure since he was young. He pretended to be trash, and did not take it to heart when others rolled their eyes at him for a few years. It was equivalent to the day when he accumulated enough strength. He immediately began to improve like a blowout. Not only did he soar to the sky, even the companions around him, and even the entire Tong Tian Tower rose crazily under his influence. In just a few years, he was able to defeat the Western Heaven Realm's three great leaders, Void, Jiu Shao and Ming Yu Guang, who escaped the prison Emperor Divine Palace's seal. What followed was even more unimaginable. He actually killed the Nine Lights Heaven Queen, who led her clan to attack Tong Tian Tower. I even suspect that the Sun King, who went to Tianhua region to investigate the Divine Grimoire and disappeared, was also killed by him. It was because of this Yu Clan Third Young Master's terrifying strength that I agreed to my father's plan to enter Tong Tian Tower and accepted the position of the Expeditionary Army's vanguard commander. Now, after arriving at Tong Tian Tower, I realized that the situation is 100 times worse than I imagined. Because of the existence of Yu Clan Third Young Master, the future of Heaven Realm can be described in one sentence. If Yu Clan Third Young Master does not die and this person is not eliminated, Heaven Realm will never have a day of peace. Could it be that Yu Clan third young master is even more terrifying than the conquering queen from 10,000 years ago and the prison emperor from 6,000 years ago? The middle-aged scholar thought of the conquering queen and the prison emperor, and couldn't help but shiver. A Yu Clan third young master who completely inherited the prison emperor and is also the conquering queen's disciple, what do you think? The godlike young man asked the middle-aged scholar. Kill. The middle-aged scholar's killing intent was as cold as a knife. Starting from you, anyone who is related to Yu Clan third young master in Tong Tian Tower must die. I will definitely not allow a second conquering queen to reappear in Heaven Realm. You want to use this method to summon Yu Clan third young master back to Tong Tian Tower? Dream on. This is exactly what we want to say. Xue Tanlang suddenly opened his eyes. The entire vast land was filled with his cold, killing intent. Anyone who obstructs the rise of Tong Tian Tower, anyone who obstructs Titan Yu, anyone who obstructs us must die. It doesn't matter if you are the 9 Light Clan's rebels or the Heaven Realm's expeditionary army, it doesn't matter if you are the 9 Light Queen or the Sun King, it doesn't matter if you are anyone who dares to obstruct us, we will kill all of you without mercy. Kill without mercy. Fatty Hai Yi Kong, Prince of Tianluo and the Li Clan brothers all roared in anger. It was 100 times more shocking than a volcano eruption. They released all of their energy without holding anything back. In front of a strong enemy, no matter who the enemy was or what realm they had reached, as long as they dared to obstruct their plans, they would be killed without mercy. Whoever dared to invade Tong Tian Tower, whoever dared to obstruct Yu Yang's return, could only die. No matter what price they had to pay, it would not change the burning will of Fatty Hai and the others. The middle-aged scholar and the black-robed old man were shocked by this killing intent. The slaves were so scared that their bodies trembled. All of them prostrated on the ground. They did not dare to move. Only the godlike young man's expression remained the same. He looked at the murderous Fatty Hai and the others inside. The unyielding fighting spirit and bravery of Tong Tian Tower's warriors has returned. After 10,000 years of depravity, the originally crippled martial spirits were forcefully pulled back by Yu Clan third young master. He used his victories to light up the direction of these youths. He used his blood to forge these youths' pride. The pride and glory of the conquering queen's era had all returned. Perhaps this was the true reason why Yu Clan third young master was so terrifying. He didn't become a peerless powerhouse by himself. Rather, he influenced everyone around him, allowing these martial artists who had already sunk into depravity to regain their confidence. It seems that the rise of Tong Tian Tower is really hard to stop. Why didn't I discover it earlier? If it was in the beginning, was this fate's choice? Could it be that I am standing on the opposite side of fate? Could it be that I am going against the heavens? Father, can you tell me the truth? Why do you, who is so intelligent, insist on invading Tong Tian Tower? Why must you insist on going against the heavens? Chapter 12:26. In the grimoire world, Yu Yang, who was taking a nap on the chair, suddenly sat up. Xiaonu, who was carefully weaving a wreath beside him, stopped and looked at him curiously. She blinked her big eyes, looking very cute. Who is calling me? Yu Yang found that he had that nightmare again. The strangest thing was that it was very clear in the dream, but when he woke up, he completely forgot about it. What was the reason? Was it the invasion of some kind of power, or was there really someone calling him? Was it Fourth Mother, or someone else? Reaching out and caressing Xiaonu's head, Yu Yang decided to go out for a walk to relieve the pressure brought by evil deities Wei Guang. Although the battle with evil deities Wei Guang had not started, the invisible pressure was imminent. After the battle with the mysterious man, Yu Yang was more aware of the difficulty of fighting against evil deities Wei Guang. Fortunately, evil deities Wei Guang's real body was still sealed in Human Valley, but the summoning grimoire was sealed in Lu Wailu, so he could not use his full power. Otherwise, Yu Yang felt that he would definitely lose without a doubt. Thinking about the supreme power released by evil deities Wei Guang in Lu Wailu. Then, he thought about that terrifying incarnation whose body was so huge that it could not even be seen completely. Just fingers. It was comparable to the mountains in the world. If the demonic god Wei Guang had a real body and a grimoire, Yu Yang suspected that he would be able to instantly kill the mysterious person. He just didn't know who sealed such a powerful person. Perhaps it was a great god on the same level as the supreme dragon god, or maybe it was an even more powerful ancient great god. The higher one's realm was, the more insignificant they felt. Yu Yang went out of Shan Wailu and flew casually in the sky while thinking randomly. He did not know when it started, but little Wen Li was following behind him. It was completely silent, accompanying him, flying all the way. When Yu Yang came out of the sea of consciousness, he found that she had been following him. He turned around and smiled at her. "Let's go back to find Mom later, okay?" The mother he mentioned was, of course, little Wen Li's mother, Queen Vivian Li. When he was fighting against the mysterious man, he already had a strange feeling that Queen Vivian Li was about to help him. However, for some reason, she changed her mind and he reversed the situation. This time, in the battle with the evil deities and Wei Guang, he believed that she would definitely come out to help. As for how to coordinate, they would have to discuss and strive to maximize their strength. No matter how proud Yu Yang was, no matter how much of a man he was, it was impossible for him to insist on fighting the evil deities Wei Guang alone when he had strong reinforcements. If he did that, he would not be a hero, but a fool. Now, Queen Vivian Li had fully recovered, and she had improved after transforming the black hole seal to create the world of ice and snow. Compared to the Conquest Queen at her peak, now she was even more powerful. If he needed her to fight to have a chance of defeating the evil deities Wei Guang, Yu Yang would never refuse. He even had a little regret in his heart. He did not know if Xuanyo, who had woken up but gone somewhere, could make it in time for the battle with the evil deities Wei Guang. Let's wait for a few more days. Maybe that Xuanyo will come back to reunite with me soon. As Yu Yang thought of this, he was a little impatient to see Xue Wuxia. Little Wen Li suddenly overtook him from behind. She nervously raised her dual blades and pointed them to the sky, her little face solemn. What? Yu Yang believed that her battle instincts were better than his, so he quickly stopped and gathered the crescent moon sword. He carefully extended his divine telekinesis to search for the unknown enemy. At first, he thought that it was Ji Wuri who escaped that day, or some helper left behind by the mysterious person in the mountains outside the mountains. When his divine telekinesis found the target, he cursed. Damn it, the evil deities Wei Guang actually broke free from the seal? Originally, he thought that he would have a few days to rest and adjust his mental state to its peak. He did not expect the evil deities Wei Guang to quietly break free from the seal. And he killed his way to the door. Motherf ***, this sneak attack was too strange. Could the ancient rules be broken so easily? Just like the battle at Lu Wailu, Yu Yang did not even see where the evil deities Wei Guang was. As soon as his divine telekinesis came into contact, he felt a kind of supreme power pressing down on him. It was 100,000 times heavier than a mountain. As strong as Yu Yang was, he felt a sense of suffocation, almost unable to breathe. On the horizon, there was a black shadow that covered the sky. It was impossible to tell just how huge its body was. If it was powerful enough, its body would be equivalent to a planet. It was even more exaggerated than a heavenly dog eating the sun. The entire sky darkened, as if a huge piece of the sky had been bitten off by an ancient prehistoric beast. Even with Yu Yang's Heaven Eye's divine vision's strongest eye of truth, he could barely see that there was an unimaginably huge existence that was slowly wriggling towards him from an unknown distance. The seemingly slow wriggling was, in fact, extremely fast. It might have crossed tens or even hundreds of kilometers in a second. Yu Yang was speechless. Who could defeat such a big monster? This was simply a boss that could destroy the whole team. Not to mention that there were no meat shields. Even if there were 1,000,000, 10,000,000, or even 100,000,000 meat shields, they would not be able to withstand a slap from this guy. Originally, he thought that the rock incarnation at Lu Wailu was already abnormal enough, but he did not expect it to be child's play. Now, the evil deity's Wei Guang's rock incarnation was probably more than 10 times bigger than the one at Lu Wailu. Originally, one finger was comparable to a mountain. But now, Yu Yang could not even see one finger. This evil deity's Wei Guang's whole body was estimated to be at least as big as a planet. How could they still fight like this? With a press of its finger, everyone would be crushed like ants. With a casual punch, it could create an ocean. With a single breath, it could create a hurricane. With a single sneeze, it could send people flying tens of thousands of miles away. With such a ferocious boss, wasn't it bullying the players? Even if he wanted to torture people, he should not torture them like this. What was the damn complaint number? Yu Yang sighed. He felt that even a GM would not be able to defeat such a big monster, let alone him. He originally thought that he could create a Yinglong. He could barely resist it. Who knew? Compared to the evil deity's Wei Guang's planet incarnation, Yinglong, which was 108 kilometers long, was simply a pitiful little loach. The evil deity's Wei Guang was sealed at Lu Wailu in Human Valley. Because of the prohibition of martial arts and the seal, its power was reduced to the minimum. At this moment, when he came to the mountain outside the valley, there were no more seals. Its power naturally soared by 10 times. Yu Yang wished that he could resurrect the mysterious man and kill him again. Releasing the evil deity's Wei Guang was too insidious, wasn't it? Without the seal of Human Valley, how could the evil deity's Wei Guang be able to fight against it? What's going on? Princess Sisai and Fallen Beauty came out because of the telepathic call. When they saw that the whole sky was slowly darkening, as if a heavenly dog had eaten the sun, they were at a loss of what to do. When it came to fighting, it was not that they had never killed a super-large enemy, but they really did not know how to fight against such a huge enemy. Compared to this planet-sized evil deity's incarnation, the island whale and the pan-high serpent were too weak. The incarnation of the evil deity's Wei Guang was directly the size of a planet. Not to mention fighting against it, it was impossible to even look at its whole body. Go back quickly. Without my permission, no one is allowed to come out. Yu Yang immediately drove them back. What a joke. This evil deity's Wei Guang was definitely not someone they could fight against. They could kill him in one move. No matter in any aspect, the difference was too big. Unless one had divine power that was not inferior to the evil deity's Wei Guang, it was impossible to fight against this planet incarnation. Yu Yang let out an earth-shattering roar. His voice carried his supreme will and shook the world in an instant. Queen Vivian Li, who was hibernating in the world of ice and snow, immediately opened her eyes. Her eyes were as sharp as lightning. Yinglong, who was suspended in the world of ice and snow, with its 108-kilometer-long body, instantly became extremely active. It let out a dragon roar, responding to its master's summon. At the same time, it broke through the space and time barrier of the world of ice and snow. With a loud rumble, it passed through the black hole-sealed space and shot out of the sky outside the mountains. It danced in the sky. It swung its head. First, it climbed to the top of the sky. Then, it swooped down towards Yu Yang. It lowered its head and accepted its master. In an instant, their wills merged into one. The dragon raised its head high, driving its body. As it let out a roar that shook the heavens and earth, it flew up and shot straight towards the evil deity's Wei Guang's planet incarnation that was stepping over from the horizon. Chapter 12:27. The winged dragon was, in theory, an invincible existence at the pinnacle of battle puppets. If there was no evil deity's Wei Guang's planet incarnation, then no war doll or battleship in the entire heaven realm could be compared to it. Because the immemorial age and the ancient age were too long ago, the specific situation was not known. However, in the recent tens of thousands of years, according to historical records, there had never been a war doll like Yinglong. Before he created it, Yu Yang did not even know that he could reach this level. In fact, the main credit for the birth of Yinglong was actually the heavenly sword goddess, who used her sword to split the chaotic energy within the divine pearl of creation. If not for her, Yu Yang, who had lost control of his power, would not have been able to successfully create the Yinglong of today. Even if he could create it, it would not be able to reach the supreme realm of one with the dragon. Roar! Yinglong took off under the guidance of Yu Yang's will and charged forward. The dragon roar shook the heavens and the earth. Evil deities Wei Guang's spiritual will could no longer suppress Yinglong and Yu Yang. Under a one with the dragon, this unstoppable leap could even break the barrier of time and space. Facing Yinglong's advance, evil deities Wei Guang, who controlled the planet incarnation, immediately felt the existence and threat of his opponent. If he had not come to the mountain beyond mountain, and was still in the human valley, then the evil deities Wei Guang's planet incarnation would not be as good as Yinglong, which was 108 kilometers long. However, after coming to the Earth Valley, there was no longer the restriction of the human valley. The evil deity's Wei Guang was like a fish in water. His strength soared by more than 10 times, and the planet incarnation also expanded by 10 times. In contrast, the 108 kilometers long Yinglong became a small dragon that was as small as a loach. Rumble! The sky quickly darkened. Then, the palm broke through the planet incarnation in the sky and pressed down on the ground. With his huge evil deities, Wei Guang did not want to give Yu Yang and Yinglong any chance. He wanted to slap Yinglong and Yu Yang to death. The entire sky seemed to shatter. Due to the high-speed collisions, the air was burning with sparks, dazzling everyone's eyes. From the looks of it, the sky was a sea of orange flames with no other colors. The airflow was 100 times colder than a storm, and it forcefully spread out from the center. It was like a shock wave directly exploding out, but the range was hundreds of kilometers. The planet incarnation's palm had yet to descend, but the ground had already cracked and deformed. The mountain peak was broken. The huge rock sank into the ground. Trees were uprooted and large areas of the forest were reduced to nothingness. Billions of splashes of water exploded in the rivers and lakes. Accompanied by the frantic airflow, the splashes flew off to unknown places. Charge! Even though Yu Yang, who was fighting alongside Yinglong, had experienced countless bitter battles before and his will had been tempered to the point where it was even tougher than steel, when he saw this apocalyptic scene, he couldn't help but be distracted. The shadow of death accompanied the huge hand that blotted out the sky and covered Yu Yang's heart. At the most critical moment, Yu Yang, who possessed the supreme paragon's will, resisted the negative effects of the evil deities, Wei Guang's will suppression and the fear in his heart. The huge hand that was hundreds of kilometers long slammed down with a destructive force. Yu Yang piloted Yinglong. Instead of retreating, he advanced. In the dimensional storm that could shatter everything, Yinglong, who was flying with difficulty, rushed up. Under the suppression of the evil deities, Wei Guang's will, the planet incarnation's palm firmly enveloped Yinglong. The unyielding Yu Yang gritted his teeth and piloted Yinglong, forcibly plowing a huge pit that was hundreds of kilometers long in the planet incarnation's palm. Before the heavy palm slammed into the ground, he narrowly dodged Yinglong's slender body. The evil deities, Wei Guang's reaction was extremely fast. With a slight movement of his will, the huge palm that slammed heavily on the ground, causing the most terrifying impact and earthquake in the world, quickly lifted up. The palm opened up, and the 5 fingers stretched out, intending to capture and kill Ing Long between its palms. Ing Long, who was swimming wildly in the violent shock wave, spun 360 times in a row before escaping the planet incarnation's grasp. The evil deities, Wei Guang, was unwilling to give up. He turned around and chased after Ing Long, trying to catch the escaping Ing Long. Yu Yang, whose fighting spirit was boiling, made an extremely bold decision. Ing Long returned in high spirits. The slender body that was drifting upwards shot back like a sharp arrow. The dragon's head was wide open, and it rushed head-on towards the huge heavenly thumb that was tens of kilometers long. At the moment of collision, the dragon's head tilted to the side, avoiding the impact. The dragon's horn brushed past the heavenly thumb, and the moment it slid out of the planet incarnation's giant palm, Ing Long's tail whipped out heavily, sweeping the joints of the heavenly thumb. With the force of this blow, Ing Long immediately turned around and continued flying forward. The joints of the heavenly thumb, which had been attacked by the dragon's tail, cracked horribly. The evil deity's Wei Guang was furious. Ignoring the injuries on his fingers, he forcibly accelerated and chased after Ing Long. Yu Yang had already condensed his star explosion for a long time. The star explosion shot out from Ing Long's mouth. An infinitely compressed star explosion energy exploded on the cracked joints of Yu Yang's heavenly thumb. The star explosion could even shatter stars. Its power was unquestionable. If Yu Yang used it to fight the Sun King or Ji Wuri, the effect would not be too great. After all, it was very difficult to hit an enemy that could travel thousands of miles in an instant. No matter how powerful it would be of no use. However, no matter how agile the evil deities, Wei Guang's planet incarnation was, it would not be able to avoid the enemy's attack. That huge heavenly thumb, which was tens of kilometers long, could be easily hit by a blind person's starburst, let alone Yu Yang. After a deafening explosion, sand and pebbles flew. The dust that was stirred up swept across the land, covering the sky. However, when the storm swept away the dust, Yu Yang found that the heavenly thumb, which should have been broken, was still standing in front of him. Although the cracks were like spider webs, and the joints were teetering, the power of a starburst could not break this heavenly thumb, which had previously suffered a heavy blow from Ing Long's tail. This was just a thumb from the evil deities, Wei Guang's planet incarnation. If one wanted to knock down the entire planet incarnation, it would be extremely powerless. The evil deities, Wei Guang's planet incarnation, reached out to grab Ing Long again. This time, it used both hands. It put its palms together and trapped Ing Long in front of its chest. Yu Yang pretended to be stunned. He was motionless. When the planet incarnation caught Ing Long's body and was about to break it, it suddenly exploded like a bolt of lightning. From Ing Long's head, it spat out a red sword aura that could tear the heavens and split the earth. The moment Chixialien appeared, it dyed the sky with multicolored light. The accumulated sword aura followed Yu Yang's killing intent and paragon will and pointed straight at Xiao Ming. The sword qi sliced through space and seemed to have transcended time. Before the demonic god Wei Guang could react, the sword qi had already swept past the target that Yu Yang had locked onto. It was the heavens erecting thumb that had been injured by the demonic god Wei Guang. The thumb that stood in the sky broke with a sound, splitting into two, broken from the joint. Yu Yang, who had taken the opportunity to break free from his grasp, rode Ing Long as one with the dragon, and soared into the sky at the fastest speed in his life, flying towards the head of the planet incarnation, whose entire face could not be seen. The evil deities, Wei Guang's planet incarnation, suddenly opened its terrifying mouth, as if it wanted to swallow the relatively small Ing Long, which was 108 kilometers long, in one gulp. Ing Long desperately changed the direction of its advance, constantly correcting its course, but never retreating. Fear of battle was not Yu Yang's will. In the end, before the terrifying mouth's teeth closed, Long forcefully broke through the extremely thick rock lip. A crack that was thousands of meters deep and hundreds of thousands of meters long appeared on the face of the planet Incarnation. The planet Incarnation's nose was hit by Long, and a rock the size of a small mountain was sent flying. It streaked across the long bridge of its nose. Long slammed into the forehead of the evil deities, Wei Guang's planet Incarnation. The dragon star erupted with a golden sword aura that could destroy everything, the orange light sword. No matter how powerful the evil deities, Wei Guang's divine will was, it was not easy to take such a close and precise hit from the orange light sword. The injury between the planet Incarnation's eyebrows was not serious on the surface, but the innate sword aura had penetrated the defense and directly attacked the divine will hidden in the planet Incarnation's head that controlled everything. The evil deities, Wei Guang, felt humiliated after being attacked, angrily scratched the planet Incarnation's face with both hands. The broken rocks gathered in his hands. Facing Long and Yu Yang, who were frantically escaping, the planet Incarnation spewed out a divine will, blowing away the broken rocks gathered in his hands, and spewed all of them into a terrifying meteor shower, crazily chasing after Long in the sky. Yu Yang turned Long upside down, and the dragon's head dived down. Even though the bombardment area was reduced, the evil deities, Wei Guang, did not want to let him escape so easily. His divine will had been locked on Long. With a length of 108 kilometers, no matter how slender its body was, Long was still a huge target. It was almost impossible for it to escape from the meteor shower guided by Wei Guang's divine will. More importantly, the planet Incarnation was waiting outside with its arms open. Once Yu Yang left the range of the meteor shower, he would definitely be caught by the arms that swept back. It's just a drizzle. Who can be scared? Although Yu Yang was stubborn, he knew that being hit by a meteor shower was not a good thing. Once hit, Long's speed would be slowed down, and it was very likely that the planet Incarnation would successfully catch it. Boom, boom, boom. Yu Yang steered Long through the meteor shower crazily. If there was a second choice, he would not take the risk. Unfortunately, this was already the best way. Although he had dodged the largest and fastest group of meteorites, it was impossible for him to dodge some of the smaller ones. It was inevitable that he had to make a choice. Countless meteors rained down on Long's head and body. There were also a few huge meteors that brushed past the dragon's wings, knocking Long, who was swimming in the meteor shower. If it were not for Yu Yang's strong willpower and concentration, he would have been buried alive by this large wave of meteors. What was even more powerful than the meteor shower was the broken and falling thumb. At 20 kilometers long, it was comparable to a small planet. When it hit the ground with a heavy thud, everything on the ground evaporated. The resulting shock wave directly sent Yu Yang's Long and the meteor shower flying into the sky. Long and Yu Yang, who were caught in the middle of two destructive forces, began an involuntary journey of suffering. They had just escaped from the giant mouth of the evil deities Wei Guang's planet Incarnation, and now they were sent back again. The evil deities Wei Guang was overjoyed when he saw this. The planet Incarnation's two palms closed Long and the meteor shower into a ball. As long as he used his divine power to crush this ball, then this detestable enemy, he would be reduced to ashes. The meteors that escaped the net flew back and hit the huge body of the planet Incarnation. The evil deities Wei Guang could not care about this at all. All his divine will was suppressing Long and Yu Yang, who were struggling desperately to break out of the palm. A meteor hit the top of the planet Incarnation's head. At first, the evil deities Wei Guang thought that this was one of the meteor showers that he had shot out and did not care. However, one after another, several meteors arrived at an even faster speed. They hit the top of the planet Incarnation's head, causing smoke to rise. The planet Incarnation, who was clenching the ball in his palm, realized that the attack came from behind. He turned his huge head back and looked up at the deep sky. The evil deities Wei Guang's divine will discovered for the first time that the stars in the sky were so bright, especially the 12 zodiac signs, which were even more dazzling. A mysterious star power came from the endless sky and faintly connected with the burning meteor cluster in his palm. The evil deities Wei Guang then realized that it was Yu Yang from Yinglong who was playing trick. The 12 zodiac signs in the sky seemed to be slowly rotating. Those stars, every time they moved, their star power would increase by 1 point. When the Leo constellation, which was originally close to the top, moved to the top of the sky, the evil deities Wei Guang's divine will discovered a ball of light that was falling down at an unimaginable speed. His divine will extended from afar and triggered that terrifying ball of light. The evil deities Wei Guang was surprised to find that the ball of light was actually a meteor from the meteorite zone between the mountains outside the mountains and the valley. They seemed to have affected the summoning and were all gathering towards him. Their speed was getting faster and faster. Under the support of the Leo constellation's star power, they started to accelerate after entering a few thousand kilometers. When they entered 1,000 kilometers, they all turned into a terrifying meteor shower. If there were only a few hundred meteors, the evil deities Wei Guang, who had the planet incarnation, he would not care. But if the meteors from the meteorite zone were summoned by the Leo constellation's star power and gathered to 1 in 10, no, 1 in 100, the number would be enough to bury him alive 100 times. Could it be that the rascal who stabbed him between his eyebrows was not to provoke him, but to make a mark on his head to guide the attack? This rascal had not even entered the godly state. How could he fool his senses and summon a meteor shower with star power? Moreover, it was such a vast number of meteors. If all the meteors were to fall on the mountains outside the mountains outside the mountains would probably be destroyed. Was this rascal crazy? Or did he already know that he was no match for him and purposely lured him into a trap so that he could make such a crazy move to perish together with him? The evil deities Wei Guang extended his divine will and discovered that the meteors that were summoned by the Leo constellation's star power numbered in the tens of millions. It was too many to count. It was endless. It was truly overwhelming and came crashing down. Chapter 12:28. Before the Leonid meteor shower arrived, evil deities Wei Guang's planet incarnation smashed the meteorite in his hand onto the ground. The meteorite smashed down at high speed. It wrapped around Yinglong together with Yu Yang, who was unable to struggle. They hit the ground together. The meteorite, which was propelled by the demonic god Hikaru's divine power, rubbed against each other at a high speed. Along the way, thousands of lightning bolts flashed, and an immeasurably terrifying mushroom cloud rose into the sky. However, the shock wave that spread out first had already engulfed the entire world. The shock waves from the collision far surpassed the limits of the laws and order of the outer mountains. In an instant, not only did the world shatter, even space itself shattered. A huge black hole appeared and devoured everything. Not to mention everything within the black hole, even the shock waves that collapsed the world could not escape the absorption of the black hole. Regardless of whether it was lightning, meteorites, smoke, or even the sounds of explosions, they all disappeared into the black hole between the world and the world. Silence. But the entire world seemed to be doomsday. The black hole raged like a primordial monster that would never tire of eating, crazily swallowing everything in its giant mouth. Apart from a single Yinglong, only it, which could travel through worlds, could struggle to escape from the completely destroyed world. Yinglong, which was spiraling out, resisted the gravitational pull of the black hole while dodging the rocks and mountains that were constantly thrown in. Yu Yang's head was dizzy at this time. If not for Yinglong's protection, it would have been impossible to resist the terrifying attack of evil deities Wei Guang's planet incarnation with just his own defense. Even with the meteorite and Yinglong outside, which had absorbed most of the impact, Yu Yang still felt his mind go blank. For a long time, he was unable to return to normal consciousness. Of course, more of this was because of evil deities Wei Guang's divine sense attack. Evil deities Wei Guang had always used the divine level will. He constantly suppressed Yu Yang. The black hole appeared quickly and disappeared just as quickly. The laws of Outer Mountain would definitely not allow this explosion to completely collapse. The black hole shrank and disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Finally, it disappeared without a trace, as if it had never appeared. However, the piece of land that it had swallowed crazily had a shocking gap. The sky covering heavy palm that was missing a thumb came crashing down. The demonic god Wei Guang used his divine power to freeze Yu Yang and Ying Long in place as his other fist came crashing down. At this moment, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The land that was originally missing nearly 1,000 kilometers of mountains and rivers, especially around the smoking gap, all shattered and collapsed. Ying Long struggled but could not break free. It could only look at the sky, watching the raging flames, and then it was smashed into the ground by the giant fist. In the sky, the divine power heavy palm that was missing a thumb was still there, maintaining the suppression on Yu Yang and Ying Long. The mountains and earth shattered, turning into powder and spreading. In the next second, under evil deities Wei Guang's divine sense, it reformed into new rocks and mud. The planet incarnation's two giant hands wrapped around the gap, and a giant mountain that was tens of thousands of meters tall stood in its embrace, suppressing the deep pit above Yu Yang's head. Not only that, evil deities Wei Guang was still controlling his hands, constantly twisting the head of the planet incarnation. His other plan was to abandon the head and smash the head that attracted the Leonid meteor shower onto the gigantic mountain. Then, the Leonid meteor shower would completely bury and seal the owner of the meteor shower, Ying Long and Yu Yang, who were still buried underneath the mountain. The Leonid meteor shower would suffer the consequences of their actions. With a rumble, the head of the planet incarnation was twisted off. Evil deities Wei Guang unexpectedly discovered that the Leonid meteor shower was not chasing after the head of the planet incarnation. Instead, it was retreating back to its huge body. This meant that the real target of the Leonid meteor shower was actually the consciousness of evil deities Wei Guang. The target of the Leonid meteor shower was also the consciousness of evil deities Wei Guang, and not the incredibly huge planet incarnation. In his shock, the demonic god Dangerous Light did not have the time to investigate why the sword aura was able to mark his divine consciousness. He immediately made a decision and pounced forward. He controlled the headless body of his planet clone, who was of unknown size, and sent it crashing down on the small mountain that was almost 10,000 meters tall. The entire sky above the outer mountain suddenly darkened. If the planet incarnation were to hit it, it was unknown whether the outer mountain would shatter. Faster than evil deities Wei Guang, Ying Long had already drilled out of the mud mountain and roared towards the sky. The divine power that was originally pressing down on them had disappeared under the counterattack of the supreme will of Yu Yang. What a good young man! If I hadn't come, I wouldn't have known that the Tower of Babel really had such an outstanding little boy like what little Ji Gu said. At such a young age, you dared to challenge the famous and ferocious Wei Guang alone. You really have guts. TSK, TSK, TSK. I really can't bear to kill such a cute little boy like you. Come out, let me see how handsome you are. If I am satisfied, maybe I can ask the temple master to spare your life and take you in as a guard boy. A consciousness passed through the blockade of evil deities Wei Guang's consciousness and directly reflected into Yu Yang's mind. In the originally dizzy sea of consciousness, a thunderous thought wave exploded. Who is it? Yu Yang was shocked. It was already difficult enough to deal with evil deities Wei Guang, and now there was an old ghost? Get out of this little puppet for me, you impolite little thing. Didn't your parents teach you manners? A black silhouette appeared out of nowhere in the midst of Yu Yang and the demonic god Wei Guang's frantic battle of wills. No one knew what was going on. In an instant, the black silhouette appeared on top of Ing Long's head. There was a strange flash of black light. Yu Yang, who was originally one with Ing Long, flew out of Ing Long's mouth unexpectedly. Ing Long, who had lost the control of Yu Yang's consciousness and power support, was completely no match for evil deities Wei Guang's terrifying coercion. In addition to the Black Shadow's mischief, the 108-kilometer-long Ing Long crashed to the ground with a loud bang. It was deeply embedded in the rocks and soil, unable to break free no matter how hard it struggled. Yu Yang didn't have time to fight back. He found that there was a strange beast coming to bite him. After narrowly avoiding it, he was shocked to find that strange beast turned out to be a pair of fake teeth that kept opening and closing. It flew forward at the speed of light. The meteorites falling from the sky and the mountains in front of it were all bitten by it. It was even more exaggerated than the black hole just now. What kind of beast was this? Why was it in the form of fake teeth? Moreover, how could a beast like this be upgraded to such a terrifying level? Before Yu Yang could come back to his senses, the Black Shadow threw out a ball of disgusting green light directly towards Yu Yang's body. Danger! Yu Yang was immediately alarmed. He didn't use any power to attack or defend himself. Instead, he used the safest method, teleportation. He directly cut open the space and escaped tens of thousands of meters away. That ball of green light whooshed. In the process of moving forward, it suddenly appeared in front of Yu Yang in an inexplicable and abrupt way that completely deviated from the normal rules. A mountain behind him collapsed with a bang, as if a god's hand had broken it in the middle. It was pushed forward again. It was as if a god's hand was pushing it from behind. At the moment when the disgusting ball of green light that couldn't be avoided hit Yu Yang, the broken mountain switched places with Yu Yang. Right in front of Yu Yang, the mountain that switched places with Yu Yang had inconceivably turned into a plague rabbit that was about the size of a normal rabbit. Yu Yang was so scared that he almost peed his pants. If he had also turned into a plague rabbit, he would either be trampled to death by the evil deities Wei Guang or slapped to death by the Black Shadow. What kind of vicious attack was that? It was simply demonic. Impolite little brat, well done. You actually dare to play tricks in front of me? Good, let me see how many mountains you can break with your strength. Kids nowadays, with just a little bit of star power, look at how arrogant they are. The Black Shadow waved his hand and thousands of green light balls appeared between heaven and earth. F***ck. Yu Yang wasn't afraid of anything. He wasn't afraid of pain. He wasn't afraid of getting beaten up. He wasn't afraid of being scared, and he wasn't afraid of being schemed against. However, being turned into a rabbit by the enemy made him pee his pants. How could he hide from the disgusting green light balls that covered the sky and earth? The most terrible thing was that the evil deity's Wei Guang was using his full strength to suppress him. Under his will, the entire sky and earth had become like a piece of iron plate. It was impossible to teleport easily. Yu Yang smashed a ball of star explosion and scattered a sky full of raging flames. What a pity! That damned fake tooth beast had flown back and swallowed the star explosion and a sky full of raging flames. If Yu Yang didn't hide fast enough, maybe even Yu Yang would have been eaten by that disgusting fake tooth beast. The sky and earth were filled with those green light balls that automatically tracked Yu Yang. Yu Yang had never been so afraid of green in his life. Didn't green represent the environment? Damn it, how did green turn into a plague? Moreover, it was a demonic plague rabbit. This old thing, where did she come from? What was her relationship with the evil deities Wei Guang and Ji Wuri? Just when Yu Yang felt that he really couldn't win this time, how could he return to the grimoire world to take refuge? He also didn't know when he would be able to break through this blockade. Suddenly, a person that he had never thought of before appeared. It was Xiaonu. No. More accurately, it was the former goddess of misfortune, Pandora, who was one with Xiaonu. Pandora usually wouldn't interfere with Yu Yang's battles. No matter how fierce the battle was, she was unwilling to interfere. She felt that this was a kind of training for Yu Yang's growth. However, today, she appeared out of Yu Yang's expectations. Furthermore, she was furious. "Damned old witch, how dare you steal my sister's power?" Pandora appeared beside Yu Yang with one hand on her waist and the other pointing at a black shadow, shouting angrily. "Don't be angry first. Let's first get rid of these green balls of light. Do you know how to do it?" Yu Yang hurriedly stopped Pandora from scolding. Now was not the time to scold people. If she continued scolding, the two of them might turn into rabbits and be chased by others. The green balls of light that filled the sky gradually closed in, almost drowning the two of them. Wherever they passed, anything that came into contact with them would turn into plague rabbit. "What's a mere plague transformation spell?" Pandora snorted in disdain, making Yu Yang extremely happy. Unfortunately, her next sentence almost made Yu Yang bang his head against the wall in front of her. This was because Pandora scratched the back of her head in confusion. "The plague transformation spell is very simple, but I can't remember it at the moment. I've lost too many memories in the god-exterminating battle. If only my sister was here, it would be as easy as waving her hand." "Who's your sister?" Yu Yang was speechless. "It's already too late to ask your sister to save your life now, okay? It's better for you to think of a way to solve it yourself. Don't bother about waving her hand." "My sister?" Pandora's expression became even more confused. The ahog on her head shook a little, then drooped down dejectedly. "Why can't I remember that I have a sister? Haven't I always been alone? You're purposely coming out to cause trouble, aren't you?" Yu Yang wanted to slap himself. He knew that this girl's memory was not good, yet he still talked nonsense with her. He was really stupid. No, master, Xiaonu definitely didn't come out to cause trouble. The pitiful Xiaonu immediately came out from her high when she heard this. Before Pandora could speak, she expressed her feelings as a hardcore fan and a loyal slave. "Xiaonu was worried about Master, that's why I asked Pandora to come out to help. I'm sorry, Xiaonu was wrong." Sigh. Yu Yang felt a mess. He couldn't count on Pandora, this amnesiac girl, and he still had to comfort Xiaonu, who was about to cry from guilt. Under the guidance of the black shadow, those green balls of light. Together, they enveloped Yu Yang and Xiaonu. There were tens of thousands of them. Forget about blocking them, it was impossible to even escape. In his last moments of despair, Yu Yang hugged the trembling Xiaonu tightly and shouted, "I came to collect rent and check the water meter." Chapter 12:29. If it was an ordinary person shouting like this, it would be useless. Checking the water meter was scary. However, it was not something that anyone could check. This had to be checked by the relevant department, only then would it show its power. Although Yu Yang's shout did not have the power of the relevant department, it could at least scare a little girl who slept soundly all day long. The reason? Although he was the landlord, checking the water meter was his normal working procedure. So annoying, always shouting when I'm bathing or preparing to sleep. A lovable and adorable girl's voice carried a strong sense of dissatisfaction as she snorted with her small nose. Immediately after, a big loli with a towel wrapped around her head and body appeared behind Yu Yang. Her two snow-white arms that were dripping wet were exposed, and there were still droplets of dew on them, slightly moist. Looking down, there were two bare feet that were treading on the moon. It was as if a single step would cause a spring of spiritual energy to gush out from this barren land. "Help, I'm so scared." Yu Yang was ready to bury his head on the towel that was slightly bulging because of the little pigeon Xiang Shui, and die a happy death like an ostrich. "Ah, you pervert!" Without waiting for Yu Yang to have his way, the big loli wrapped in a towel had already sent him flying with a kick. For some reason, ever since she appeared, The evil deities Wei Guang's coercion and the black shadow's green balls of light had lost their effectiveness. The coercion that had suppressed Yu Yang to the point of suffocation had now dissipated into nothingness like a spring breeze and rain. In the end, it had weakened to the point that even the evil deities Wei Guang himself was baffled. How could this be? This little girl wrapped in a towel that had just rushed over was obviously not a god. How could she have counteracted the coercion of a god? Moreover, that kind of demonic plague was in existence that even the evil deities Wei Guang did not want to provoke easily. Why did it not have any effect now? Ever since this strange little girl ran out, the green balls of light not only could not move an inch, even when Yu Yang bumped into them, it was completely useless, completely unable to display its previous demonic plague ability. The black shadow was stunned. Only then did he know why it was like this. Because Qilins were peaceful and auspicious Eastern sacred beasts, they were born with the ability to exorcise evil, break barriers, kill goo, expel pollution, and so on. The plague transformation technique was effective against any martial artist or defense. Even divine weapons and divine beasts would find it difficult to completely eliminate this negative effect. However, it was useless against this Qilin girl because she was an existence that naturally countered it. Most importantly, the plague transformation technique was actually an Eastern goblin technique that originated from the Eastern world. It was only through some modifications, combined with beasts and inherent skills, that it had evolved into the plague transformation technique of today. It was naturally impossible to use this plague transformation technique to deal with the Qilin holy beast, which was a natural counter to it. Fortunately, this was the young daughter of the Qilin sacred beast. If she were an adult, he would have suffered a backlash with just a wave of his hand. Yu Yang fell from the sky. It fell to the ground with a thud. He wanted to peek at the beautiful scenery under the bath towel of the Qilin girl, but he was a little embarrassed under the eyes of so many people. He coughed and pretended to be a gentleman. While hating himself for being too thin-skinned, he pointed at the black shadow and complained, "What's going on? Look, that old witch is from your side, right? Now that she's bullying you, you don't even care." The Qilin girl was still angry with him. She twisted her pink face and snorted, "She's not one of us. At most, she's a descendant of the Goblin clan in the Heaven Realm. What does it have to do with us? Her realm is not high and she has evil energy. Don't associate her with us. They're two different things. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand." When Yu Yang heard this, he was happy. "Then you mean, it doesn't matter if we kill her casually?" The Qilin girl Bing-en rolled her eyes at him with a "Are you an idiot" look. "Our clan is very peace-loving. How could we attack you? You're lazy. You're too lazy to do it, not because you love peace." Yu Yang thought it might be so. "What?" The Qilin girl was about to get angry. "If it's not, then prove it to me. Just knock that big guy down." Yu Yang thought that there was no need to give this girl a difficult task. As long as she killed the evil deities Wei Guang, then he could reluctantly believe that the Eastern clan was not lazy to do it, but they loved peace. No. The incomparably smart Qilin girl refused immediately. Was he going to use her as a gun? Dream on. "If you don't want me to beat your little butt until it's swollen, then help me immediately." Yu Yang was angry. "It's fine if Pandora comes out to cause trouble, but you, a little girl, also want to stand by and do nothing? Alright." Under Yu Yang's murderous gaze, the Qilin girl nodded tearfully. That pitiful look almost made the guy's heart soften. Fortunately, Yu and the others were not here. Otherwise, they would definitely criticize Yu Yang and forbid him from bullying children. The slave beside him was her master's hardcore fan and loyal female slave. She also comforted the Qilin girl on behalf of her master, saying that her master was very angry and that the consequences would be very serious. She told her good friend to be obedient. Moreover, spanking the butt was a very sad family rule. Her master often used this method to punish everyone, so everyone was also very afraid. In this way, the poor Qilin girl could only agree with tears, adding a bit of misery. She was just like a little slave girl who was persecuted by a vicious family master. Yu Yang's real intention was to touch it. Spanking it, he definitely wouldn't bear to, but he couldn't say it no matter what. The Qilin girl's rose-red finger pointed at the black shadow in the distance. A streak of light shot out from her finger. Wherever the spiritual light passed, those disgusting green light clusters instantly melted in the air. Surrounded by the overwhelming green light clusters, the spiritual light opened up a clean and transparent path, pointing directly to the arrogant black shadow. The black shadow could not dodge this natural restraining spiritual light at all. It was as if someone was strangling her throat with one hand. She struggled in pain for a while, and then shouted hoarsely, "You destroyed my plague transformation technique! Damn it, do you know what kind of price I have paid to cultivate it? Do you know how many years I have spent to cultivate it? How dare you destroy it?" For the Black Shadow's accusation, the Qilin girl Bing-Yin snorted disdainfully, "You are not of my race. You are forbidden to use my race's technique and ruin my race's reputation." In the sky, evil deities Wei Guang's planet incarnation had already covered the sky and pressed down. If it weren't for the disappearance of the coercion, this move of incarnation suppression was also difficult for Yu Yang to resolve. He couldn't escape, and there were countless Leonid meteors behind him. Even if he didn't die, he would be buried and sealed in this place by evil deities Wei Guang. Now with the presence of the Qilin girl Bing-Yin, the coercion was eliminated, and the situation was much better. Even if he couldn't beat it, it was certainly not a problem to escape. The little face of the Qilin girl Bing-Yin was so serious for the first time. Even the mysterious man before, she was not so serious. At that time, she lowered her head and injured the mysterious person. Now, she did not use her most successful technique. Instead, she looked at the sky for a long time. She looked at the demonic god Dangerous Light's planet incarnation getting closer and closer. In the end, he turned into a terrifying burning planet and came crashing down. Yu Yang's heart ached. How could she, a little girl, bear the battle of a man? This was his own responsibility, this was his own battle. Yu Yang took a deep breath. He was ready to let Pandora and the Qilin girl Bing-Yin go back, and he would do everything he could to fight with the evil deities Wei Guang. The Qilin girl Bing-Yin, however, reached out her small hand and stopped him. "Let me fight first, and then it will be your battle." The colorful brilliance on her body was like a rainbow, and the fragrance was everywhere. The towel and bath towel on her head were automatically untied, and the precious armor automatically covered her delicate body. Under the will of Bing-Yin, a peaceful and indescribable aura spread out from her body. It was not like the general shock wave that swept the earth, but like a silent breeze and drizzle. Unconsciously, the whole world had been filled with her holy and unparalleled aura. "I have no intention of fighting with the Eastern clan, but you forcibly intervened in it, violating the peace rules you set, so I will never be merciful." It was the first time that the evil deities Wei Guang spoke. His voice, like thousands of thunderbolts, exploded between heaven and earth, and shook the mountains and rivers. "Shrink." The Qilin girl Bing-Yin's answer was a scream, and her hands, which were shining with colorful brilliance, were raised to the sky. "Those who stop me will die." The evil deities Wei Guang was also angry, and accelerated to the earth. Boundless seven-colored brilliance. Born from Bing-Yin's hands, it formed a colorful river of light as if it was alive, or a gorgeous colorful light curtain, reflecting up to the burning sky. Wherever the seven-colored treasure light shone upon, there would be changes. Whether it was the meteorite, the flowing fire, or even the planet incarnation of the evil deities Wei Guang, they were all shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even if the evil deities Wei Guang frantically burst out his divine power and will to stop it, He could only slightly stop it, but could not stop the impact of this colorful light on the planet Incarnation. Under the gaze of Yu Yang, the planet Incarnation, which was so huge that he could not even see the whole palm, was now visible. The planet Incarnation of the evil deities Wei Guang had shrunk at least 100 times. Yu Yang could not imagine what kind of power this was. Under the obstruction of the evil deities Wei Guang, the colorful light could shrink the planet Incarnation by more than 100 times. If the opponent was not a powerful person like the evil deities Wei Guang, wouldn't it be reduced to an ant by the colorful light of Bing Yin? It seemed that it was still not enough. Bing Yin took out a small jade gourd from his arms. It faced the planet Incarnation that was still covering the sky above. It shone. The small mouth of the jade gourd flashed a spiritual light. What made Yu Yang and Pandora, the former goddess of misfortune, stunned was that the planet Incarnation of the evil deities Wei Guang had shrunk again, and the speed of shrinking was 10 times faster than before. In less than 100 seconds, the headless planet Incarnation had shrunk to a huge puppet of about 10,000 meters. Now it could no longer be called the planet Incarnation. At most, it was a giant incarnation. Yu Yang noticed that the seriousness on Bing Yin's little face did not diminish at all. She even secretly took a breath. It seemed that this kind of change was not as easy as it seemed on the surface, even though she had tried her best to achieve it. It only lasts for an incense stick of time. Hurry up and hit him! While Bing Yin ordered Yu Yang to attack, she released the giant lowly little N. The giant lowly rarely participated in battles because there were many battles that were not suitable for her body to unleash its full potential. But now, it was just the time to play the biggest advantage of her huge body. Qilin girl Bing Yin held a group of colorful immortal power in her left and right hands and pressed them against the giant lowly. The left one was King Kong, and the right one was Giant Spirit. With the support of the two types of rainbow immortal force, the giant lowly Lil En roared into the sky. Her body instantly grew 10 times bigger, growing to 1,000 meters tall. Other than the Titan battle armor, there was also a golden energy barrier around her body, which greatly boosted her combat power. After Yu Yang superimposed the giant shadow again, the power of the giant lowly little N broke out to the limit, like a volcanic eruption. She shouted like thunder and rushed to the planet Incarnation of the evil deities Wei Guang that had shrunk many times. Yu Yang wanted to rush up too. When he looked back, he found that Bing Yin, who had almost exhausted all her immortal power, fell to the ground weakly. Apart from the time when she broke free from the seal, Yu Yang had never seen this girl in such a weak moment. His heart felt like it was being pricked by needles. He was extremely distressed and quickly held her in his arms. Idiot, hurry up and kill the enemy. Shrinking only lasts for an incense stick of time. Qilin girl Bing Yin was so angry that she wanted to hit him, but she was too weak to wave her arms. Even if her voice was full of energy, it was extremely weak, like the sound of an ant. Yu Yang gave her a kiss on her little face and gave her a guarantee. Don't even mention the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, even if it's only 10 seconds I will still kill him. Just wait for me to come back in peace. The shameless man from another world, when he sent Qilin girl Bing Yin back to the grimoire world, he took advantage of her and kissed her lip. The pure Qilin girl felt like she was struck by lightning. She was stunned. Chapter 1230. What could be done in the time it takes to burn a stick of incense? For ordinary people, it was estimated that they could not do much in the time it takes to burn a stick of incense. However, if it was a quick shooter who was proficient in the artistic performance of mastered song, it was enough. However, this was a little long but not a very long time. If it was used on a powerhouse at the level of Yu Yang, it would be no problem to raise dozens of mountains to the ground. Evil deities Wei Guang's planet Incarnation was so powerful before that it could easily crush a mountain with one finger. Now, Qilin girl Bing Yin used the colorful light to shrink it into a headless puppet of about 10,000 meters. Its luck had finally come to an end. What's more, there was also a giant loli who had both Vajra and giant spirit to help. After Yu Yang sent back the weak Bing Yin, he immediately summoned the Yinglong buried deep underground. The Black Shadow did not dare to move at first. She was extremely afraid of Bing Yin, but now that this Qilin girl had left, she regained her fighting spirit. Qilin is an immortal holy beast among the eastern immortal beasts. It is just enough to break my plague transformation technique. However, it is a pity that she is still a young immortal holy beast. She is still far from being able to suppress me. She knew that Bing Yin's consumption was actually due to suppressing evil deities Wei Guang. It had nothing to do with the previous plague transformation technique, but it did not prevent her from being proud. Encountering the Eastern Immortal tribe, who was like a natural enemy, not only was she unscathed, she even forced the opponent to retreat weakly. Think about it. This was a great honor. In the heaven realm, how many people could have such an honor? Although it was a young immortal beast, it was still an immortal clan Qilin. The Black Shadow flew in the sky at an extremely fast speed, waving its hands a few times. Hundreds of obsidian shock waves were dense like raindrops, blasting down on the top of Yu Yang's head. Old witch, your opponent is me. Unknowingly, there was a girl beside Yu Yang. Her appearance immediately turned the whole ground into a sea of flowers. The ground that was devastated by the shock wave was instantly covered with flowers, and the fragrance was pervaded. It was as beautiful as the legendary fairy flower sea. She was, of course, the beautiful flower goddess who controlled all plant-type creatures in the world, Duo. The obsidian shock wave was as dense as raindrops, bombarding down with Yu Yang's body as the center. Duo raised her head to the sky. He raised his hand. Those obsidian shock waves all turned into flower petals and floated down, no longer having any lethality to speak of. Pandora, who had fallen into a state of natural stupor, was still thinking with some confusion. I have a sister? I don't have a sister. I have a sister. I don't have a sister. By the time Yu Yang and Winged Dragon broke out of the ground, the giant lowly little N had already launched her charge. Before the evil deities Wei Guang's shrunken planet incarnation fell to the ground, she had already slammed into its huge body. The 1,000-meter-tall Titan's body clashed head-on against a 10,000-meter-tall enemy. Its power was no less than a planetary collision. It was even more terrifying than the simultaneous eruption of 10,000 volcanoes. Even the powerful evil deities Wei Guang's planet incarnation crashed into a large piece of rock and sent it flying. The shrunken and headless planet incarnation had a deep dent in its chest and ribs. The moment it smashed into the ground, evil deities Wei Guang understood that after this Titan lowly had been blessed with 2 immortal powers, she could completely ignore his pressure. The impact and suppression of his divine sense were useless against her. At the very least, it was impossible before he returned to his original form. That kind of colorful light. Not only did it have an extremely terrifying compression power, but it also had the special characteristic of connecting and integrating immortal powers of the same kind. In other words, as long as the effect of the colorful light did not disappear, he could forget about using pressure to suppress or impact the Titan lowly who had been blessed with Vajra and giant spirit. There was only one way to defeat her, and that was to use brute force against brute force, using strength that was stronger and more barbaric than the other party, and forcibly beat this Titan lowly to death. This was the only possibility. Or, he could shrink his head and defend like a tortoise, enduring the suppression of the colorful light for a period of time. When he returned to his original planet incarnation and returned to his original unrestricted state, he could slap the Titan lowly in front of him to death. If evil deities Wei Guang was Zhonghua or Ji Wuri, he would not mind the latter. Unfortunately, evil deities Wei Guang was a god. Even if he was an evil deity, He also had supreme self-esteem and pride. In the face of a Titan lowly, he had to shrink his head and avoid fighting like a tortoise? This was not him. Get lost. The demonic god Dangerous Light's reaction was extremely fast. The moment the 10,000-meter-tall headless clone smashed into the ground, he controlled the headless clone to push itself off the ground. It rolled 3 times and stood up straight with its feet nailed to the ground. He looked down at the Titan lowly who continued to madly charge towards him. He stretched out one arm, opened his missing palm, and pressed it towards the Titan lowly. With a body of 10,000 meters, he suppressed the Titan lowly who was 1,000 meters tall. Evil deities Wei Guang had enough confidence. 10 times. This was definitely a gap that could not be crossed. Moreover, the planet Incarnation was supplied with endless and invincible divine power. Roar! The Titan lowly little N rushed forward and was immediately pressed down by the missing palm. Her meteor-like charge came to a halt, and her feet penetrated deep into the rocks. In an instant she was already knee-deep. If there were no accidents, she only had 2 seconds to be pressed into the ground by evil deities Wei Guang. However, just as evil deities Wei Guang thought that he had succeeded, little N let out an earth-shattering cry. Her arms erupted with an incredible strength that made evil deities Wei Guang feel unbelievable. In an instant, she grabbed the missing palm, turned around, and with a beautiful shoulder throw, she threw the 10,000-meter body of evil deities Wei Guang's headless incarnation into the sky, and then fell heavily in front of him. Without waiting for the stunned evil deities Wei Guang to react, the Titan lowly little N turned around again. She twisted the huge palm that was missing a thumb with all her might. She twisted the other 4 fingers. All of them were twisted. In fact, even his palm and wrist exploded and twisted into deformed rock fragments. Evil deities Wei Guang was furious. He stretched out his leg and kicked little N away. He dug up a huge rock that was thousands of meters long from the ground, raised it high above his head, and prepared to smash it on top of the Titan lowly's head. Yinglong arrived. Together with Yu Yang, they merged into one and shot forward. The earth-splitting tail swept across. It hit the left knee of evil deities Wei Guang's headless incarnation. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion. The half-broken knee could no longer support the weight of the headless incarnation. Before the rock could be thrown out, it smashed heavily on the head of evil deities Wei Guang. The Titan lowly little N continued to charge forward. With a slide kick from afar, her legs hit the ankle of the headless incarnation. Yu Yang's Yinglong made a turn and swooped down. The dragon opened its head, and an orange light sword pierced through the shattered knee. Evil deities Wei Guang smashed the rocks on his body into pieces with a heavy punch. He then waved his hand to create a meteor shower that shot towards Yinglong. As for the Titan lowly little N, she ignored the impact of the meteor shower because of her diamond shield. With a roar, she also moved a protruding mountain from the ground and ruthlessly stabbed at the knee of evil deities Wei Guang, which was still not completely broken even after it was heavily injured. Finally, the knee that was hit one after another was separated from the headless incarnation. Evil deities Wei Guang roared in frustration. Losing a finger had almost no effect on his combat power. Losing his head had only slightly affected his combat power. Losing an arm had greatly affected his combat power. Now that he had lost a leg to support him, could he really continue facing the crazy attacks of the Titan lowly and Yinglong? Not to mention outsiders, even he himself was not confident. Most importantly, evil deities Wei Guang was good at bullying the weak. Using the headless incarnation that was close to the same size as him now was far from being able to display even 1/10,000th of its original power. Before this, Titan Yu, who was piloting Yinglong, was already cunning and difficult to deal with. Now, there was another Titan lowly who was not afraid of fighting? Do you think that this alone can affect my combat power? Ridiculous! Evil deities Wei Guang gave up on the battle method of using the planet incarnation. Although this was the most energy-saving method, the change in the situation forced him to make a new choice. The headless incarnation fell heavily to the ground. It stirred up a hurricane. Smoke and dust rose. Before the dust settled, a golden light soared into the sky. Evil deities Wei Guang appeared in front of Yu Yang for the first time in his golden statue state. When he stood in front of Yu Yang was surprised to find that this evil deity's golden statue was actually so huge. It was several times bigger than the previous Sun King and the mysterious man. The golden statue that was more than 2,000 meters tall made anyone who looked at it feel humble and insignificant, especially Yu Yang. In front of such a powerful golden statue, he also felt a suffocating feeling. Fighting with the golden divine statue is bullying you. Evil deities Wei Guang casually waved his hand, and the giant lowly little N who was charging towards him was sent flying dozens of kilometers away. Then, he reached out and grabbed the tail of Yinglong, which Yu Yang could not escape from. He casually pulled it to the ground. Heaven and earth shook. Yu Yang felt dizzy. If Yinglong was not permanent, and it was another suspending mothership made of God Destroyer secret gold, it would have collapsed or even broken on the spot. You are not at the God level at all. No matter what, it is impossible for you to fight with me. Those below the God level are all ant. In front of a real God level God like me, you have no chance at all. Don't you understand? Evil deities Wei Guang golden statue stretched out its leg and kicked the headless incarnation into the air. It flew dozens of kilometers away and smashed into the body of Little Un, who was just about to climb out of the deep hole in the ground. I can defeat you, I can defeat you. I am the one who has truly comprehended destruction, creation, and eternity. Yu Yang was dizzy, but the enlightenment of the three little Lolas in the endless world reappeared clearly in his mind at this moment. You are only starting to understand now? It's too late. Evil deities Wei Guang snorted coldly, pretending to be disdainful. But he did not dare to be careless. After all, once he understood it, he would immediately advance to the God level. An opponent who had advanced to the God level would definitely not be defeated so easily. No matter how proud he was, he did not want to fight with someone who was at the same level as him, even if it was just a newly advanced god. Because he did not have a real body or a grimoire, evil deities Wei Guang golden statue raised its right hand high, ready to use this right hand that was sharper than a holy sword. Killing Yu Yang inside Yinglong. It was a close call. Suddenly, a beautiful female voice that Yu Yang had not heard for a long time sounded. Do you want to kill him? Can you ask for my opinion first? Since you look down on opponents below the God level, how about I try? Believe that I, a newly advanced God level, will not let you down. Chapter 12:31. After the heavenly voice finished speaking, a gust of cold wind suddenly blew over from an unknown place. Everywhere it passed, everything was frozen. Any living thing that moved was turned into an ice sculpture. This included the giant Loli who was struggling to get up, the Black Shadow and Duo who were fighting with their divine power in the sky, even Yinglong who was raising its head and the golden statue of evil deities Wei Guang who was raising its right hand to kill, all of them were instantly frozen. It was as if the entire world, and even time had been frozen. Nothing could move at this moment. After an unknown period of time. The golden statue of evil deities Wei Guang trembled violently for a while before its body started to move again. Duo then turned the frost around her into ice flowers to eliminate the ice power on her body. The Black Shadow froze in midair until Yinglong, who was riding on Yu Yang, started to move slowly. Only then did the Black Shadow let out a scream and shattered the ice on its body. Who is it? The golden statue of evil deities Wei Guang was enraged. At the same time, he was shocked to find out. He had a natural hatred and fear towards this kind of terrifying ice power. Could it be that he had suffered from this kind of ice power before? He did not see the enemy. He only knew that it was a woman. However, this ice power gave him a strange feeling of familiarity and strangeness. This kind of ice power was different from the ice power that he had endured in previous battles. However, there were many similarities. The difference was that this ice power was definitely a brand new divine power. It was different from the ice power of any of his previous enemies. However, the same thing was that this ice power was just as effective as several other terrifying ice seals that had memories attached to it. In fact, it even had a law of sealing that could crazily cancel out and weaken his own divine power and will. He did not know how high it was. It felt like the sky was higher than the 9 heavens. There was a purple thunderbolt. It struck down at an incredible speed. If it had been another person's attack, even if that person was a god, it would have been impossible to strike the golden statue of the evil deities Wei Guang with lightning. However, this purple lightning seemed to be a law that could not be denied. It ignored all movement techniques and willpower resistance and directly exploded on the head of the golden statue. Moreover, it went deep into the soul of the evil deities Wei Guang, causing it to explode. An expression of disbelief appeared in the golden eyes of the statue. Then this expression was frozen by Lei Sun. Even when the entire 2,000-meter-tall golden statue fell to the ground with a loud bang, its expression still did not change. The evil deities Wei Guang, who had never been defeated by an enemy for 10,000 years, immediately controlled his golden statue to stand up, but it was an indisputable fact that he lost control of his body and fell to the ground. In addition to confusion, astonishment, and anger, there was also shock on his face. That's right, the current him could no longer conceal the shock in his heart. Even the enemy did not notice, but he was actually defeated by someone. And it only used 2 moves. 1 ice and 1 lightning. To be able to destroy the divine sense, disperse the divine power, and cause the golden statue to fall to the ground. What kind of enemy was this? Xuanyo, I missed you so much. At this moment, the master of the evil deities Wei Guang was being hugged by Yu Yang. He was hugging her so tightly that she almost couldn't breathe. If it was any other time, she would definitely give him a punch. But now, she had been in a deep sleep for too long. She, who had always been by his side but couldn't talk to him, also longed for his hug. If it wasn't for the fact that she was in that mysterious world following the orders of the will to further her training, she wouldn't even wait for a second. She wanted to immediately return to the grimoire world to meet him and hug him tightly. I missed you too. She didn't know where to start with thousands of words. He just hugged her tightly in her arms. She couldn't say a word, she just wanted to hug him like this forever. Ever since she woke up, she wanted to see him the moment she opened her eyes. She told him that she missed him very much. In the days when she was in a deep sleep, there wasn't a day that she didn't think about him, and there wasn't a day that she didn't want to return to his side as soon as possible. In the past, she couldn't let go of her little face. She wanted to get close to him, but she wasn't willing to get too close to him. She also often fought with that tigress, causing him to be in a difficult situation. During the period when she was in a deep sleep, she had already made thousands of decisions. As long as she could wake up as soon as possible and reunite with him, she wouldn't care about anything else. She wouldn't care about other people's gazes anymore. She wouldn't fight with that tigress anymore. She wouldn't make him so anxious that he couldn't resolve it anymore. She would even let him off the hook when he was careless. As long as she could be with him, then everything else didn't matter. Furthermore, that was what he liked the most. Only when she was in a deep sleep, her thoughts drifting aimlessly in the chaos, lonely and helpless, did she know that he had the happiness of laughing and joking beside her. Only then did she know how precious that kind of happiness was. I was really afraid that you would go missing. I can't live without you. Xuanyo, you almost scared me to death. When the guy from another world thought of her disappearance, he was almost scared out of his wits. It was still all right when she was quietly lying beside him in a deep sleep. Even though that made him worried, at least there was someone by her side watching over her. When she woke up, she disappeared without a trace. At that time, he almost went crazy. I won't leave anymore. I'll just be stubborn this time. I won't leave anymore. I won't let you worry anymore. She raised her lily-white hands. For the first time in her life, she gently caressed the hair beside his ear. She gently caressed his cheeks and caressed his brows. She couldn't get enough of looking at him. Even if this look had long been deeply imprinted in the deepest part of her soul and could never be erased, she still couldn't get enough of looking at him. This guy was the one who closely tied her life's happiness. This scoundrel was the one who lived together in the past, present and future, and was destined to share joy and sorrow together. She looked at him, and he looked at her. At this moment, they forgot about everything in the world. In their eyes, there was only each other's existence. She forgot how many times she had kissed him, but she felt that this time she had never missed him so much, and she had never wanted to kiss him so much. Almost impatiently, she kissed his lips. In that moment of contact, she revealed her entire heart to him. The moment she kissed him, she felt that her longing for him and the happiness after being relieved had already filled her entire soul. Just like when she was drunk, she felt lost, not knowing what to do in the joy of life and overflowing happiness. She only knew how to tightly hug and kiss him. She had a kind of illusion that he was her sky. With him around, the entire sky was bright. In this moment of reunion, she no longer thought about fighting. She also didn't care about the enemy by her side. She only wanted to kiss him. Facing Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia, who were tightly hugging and kissing, the whole place was silent. There was no sound for a long time. Duo was envious, and the little girl was beaming with joy as she watched. The giant lowly Xiao Xiaoan was surprised. She had received everyone's guidance in the grimoire world, and had been training non-stop. However, because of her huge body, she rarely got to participate in the whole process. It was rare for her to see who Yu Yang was kissing. Furthermore, this kind of long-lasting kiss was an eye-opener for the pure Titan giant Lowly. In her knowledge, it could be said that she had learned a whole new lesson. So kissing can be like this, it looks like it's very fun. The Titan giant Lowly also fantasized that one day, she would become as tall as her brother, or her brother would become as tall as her. That way, she could live freely with him. She could do things that everyone could do. For example, kissing right now. The face of the black shadow that had just broken free from the ice was so black that it couldn't be seen clearly. However, its shining green eyes were definitely not envious or surprised, but a kind of hatred that almost drove it mad with jealousy. It was a kind of hatred towards beautiful things and the source of happiness, a kind of destructive madness towards things that it didn't have. The black shadow stared at Yu Yang and Shui Wuxiao with its green eyes, cursing them unreasonably for their kiss. If it wasn't for the fact that Shui Wuxiao's absolute ice seal and soul-immersing purple thunder made it deeply afraid. It was afraid that the black shadow would have already pounced on them and started a massacre. The high and mighty evil deities Wei Guang looked down at everything on the ground. Looking at Yu Yang and Shui Wuxiao's kiss, he didn't feel envious, surprised, or jealous. He was expressionless. Towards human love, he who had stepped into the god level and ascended to become a god, he scoffed at it. To the evil deities Wei Guang, all human emotions were weaknesses. Whether it was family, love, or friendship, they were all natural flaws, fatal flaws. As long as anyone had any kind of human emotion, then they would definitely not be the final winner. In his long life, he had never met any strong opponent that had human emotions, never. Towards Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia, who still had human emotions and loved each other to the point of death, he only had one feeling in his heart, and that was victory. Since the enemy had such a huge weakness, then the result of the following battle was already determined. No matter how strong the enemy was, as long as he was still a human with emotional weakness. Then, the victory of the battle would belong to him who had ascended to the god level and had no weaknesses. What was a god? It was a life that had no human emotions and no human weaknesses. It was a life that transcended all living things. It had neither the bloodthirsty desire of beasts, nor the evil killing of monsters, nor the confused emotions of humans. Pitiful humans who are dominated by lust, your lives will only ever have one ending, and that is to be consumed in tears and laughter. Your burning lives will be like the candles of you humans, emitting light for a short period of time, emitting blazing heat, and finally turning into ashes and vanishing into nothingness. In the long river of life, everything you have is not worth mentioning. Eternity belongs only to us divine level. The evil deities Wei Guang coldly and mercilessly lifted one of his feet. While mocking, he stomped down heavily, intending to crush Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia, who were reuniting happily on the ground, into powder. On the ground, standing on top of Yinglong's head, Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia did not seem to notice, and were still kissing sweetly and reluctantly. In the kiss of their souls, the two had long forgotten about the collapse of heaven and earth, the danger of life and death, the past and future, and everything in the world. Chapter 1232. When the giant foot of evil deities Wei Guang was about to step on the heads of Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia, suddenly it stopped. There was no ice. There was no thunder. The giant foot that could destroy the earth was right on top of their head. Shui Wuxia was still immersed in the passionate kiss of her beloved wolf. However, the book of truth behind her gently flipped a page. This flip of the page did not represent the passage of time, nor was it a change in space. This was merely a revelation of the truth, or a reflection and record of the truth. After this flip of the page, there was a complete change in the world. It was originally the world outside the mountain, but it had been turned into a barren wasteland. After the book of truth of Shui Wuxia gently flipped a page, it became a beautiful world of ice and snow that was covered with ice crystals and drifting snow for thousands of miles. The evil deities Wei Guang was shocked to find that there was an existence in this world that he had not noticed before. It was a god. The golden statue of a god was tens of thousands of feet tall. It felt as if the whole body had filled up the heaven and earth. Its majesty could not be described with any words in the world. She had 1,000 hands and a snake tail. Each of her arms was adorned with exquisite jewels. Each of her hands was holding different but priceless treasures. Her body emitted thousands of rays of light. Each ray of light carried her eternal will and virtue. This 1,000 hands and a snake tail was comparable to the ancient giant god. She was looking down at the golden statue of evil deities Wei Guang. Or rather, she had been looking down at him all along. It was just that the evil deities Wei Guang had not noticed it all along. When this 1,000 hands and a snake tail goddess used her supreme divine personality and divine light to forcefully look at the evil deities Wei Guang in front of him, even a fierce god like the evil deities Wei Guang felt a sense of inferiority. Indeed, in front of this goddess, he was an insignificant existence. Whether it was his god force, divine sense, divine might, or godhead, he wasn't on the same level as her in any other aspect. Facing the gaze of the 1,000-armed snake-tailed goddess, the first reaction of the evil deities, Wei Guang, was to lower his head and avoid her gaze. This was because the evil deities, Wei Guang, had a feeling that if he were to look her in the eye, his entire divine sense, divine will, and even his godhead would be rejected by her. After a single glance, they might completely collapse and be annihilated. Evil deities Wei Guang lowered his head. Like an ostrich burrowing its head into the sand, it covered its face with its hands. Even so, deep down in his heart, he knew that this was just a cowardly attempt to escape from reality. If he didn't face the other party, it would be useless. The other party's overwhelming power was impossible to resist. With just a thought, not to mention his own body, even the entire world would be under her control. As long as it was in this world of ice and snow, as long as it was in front of her. No matter what. In the end, there was only one result. Because she was the only god in this world. You are that little girl from back then. You are that little girl from back then. This is impossible. You are more than 10,000 times stronger than you were 10,000 years ago. The evil deities, Wei Guang, could no longer hold on under the majesty. He let out an unwilling shout. No life can surpass themselves like this. Even if it's a god, it's impossible. This is all an illusion created by the void. How pitiful. Are you so scared that you can't even speak properly? The thousand-armed, snake-tailed golden deity sighed. She slowly changed and shrunk. Finally, she turned into a 2,000-meter-tall golden snake demon with 6 arms. Facing the evil deities, Wei Guang casually waved his hand. I can guarantee that I don't need to surpass your divine power. If you can fight me to a draw, even if you can only block one of my moves, I can let you go. What do you think of this bet? If you think it's unfair, why don't I let you have 3 moves first? Conquering Queen. The black figure, who was scared silly, finally reacted. He heard a tragic scream. It's you, you damned witch. How did you escape from the seal? Thanks to you, bitch, telling on me, I have been in the black prison for nearly 10,000 years. The golden snake demon body made a happy expression as she covered her face. Unfortunately, this queen will have to disappoint you. Not only can the black hole seal not destroy me, it can't trap me either. How could you have imagined that this terrifying and dark black hole seal space would actually become my lucky place? Speaking of which, I should be the one thanking you. Originally, I wanted to throw you into the endless void as soon as I saw you. But now I've changed my mind. I've decided not to kill you, nor will I exile you. I want you to live well and continue to be jealous of my happy life. I want you, bit by bit, to be consumed by your jealousy. Even your body. You witch, it's you who ruined me. You ruined my appearance. You ruined my life. The black figure screamed, even more horrifying than the evil curse crow. It's you who asked for it. The golden snake demon laughed lightly. I've never provoked you. It was you who was blinded by greed. You wanted to kill me to ascend to the throne of Heaven Realm's #1 beauty. What's funny is that you've never looked at your own appearance. You only relied on your powerful strength to threaten others to praise your beauty. You never thought that others would be sick and disgusted to the point of wanting to vomit. I have no intention to compare myself to you because there's no need to. Let alone me, who knows how many women in Heaven Realm are more beautiful than you. How many women have you killed for the ridiculous title of the #1 beauty in the Heaven Realm that will never fall on your head? Those pitiful women died because of you. That's their misfortune. Their incompetence encouraged your arrogance. What's more boring is, do you think I'll be like those women? That's what I said that day, and it's what I say now. I, Fei Wenli, am the Snake Demon Queen who is determined to conquer Heaven Realm. Although I don't dare to say that I'm the #1 beauty in Heaven Realm, an ugly slut like you dares to bare your fangs and brandish your claws in front of me. You're shamelessly finding fault with me. You're courting death. Which, you're just jealous of me. That's just an excuse. If you hadn't ruined my face, there would be no one more beautiful than me in this world. Even your Tong Tian Tower's #1 beauty, Yi Meng, is ashamed of her inferiority. The black figure let out a long scream excitedly. She's just ashamed of your shamelessness. She doesn't want to taint a slut like you with a twisted mind, so she created an illusory dream for you. Keep your dream of being Heaven Realm's #1 beauty and continue to be arrogant. Then, you secretly hide in the shadows, not even daring to show your face. You hide like an ugly witch, cursing other people's beauty and happiness. Jealousy burns your heart all the time. On one hand, you maliciously hate other people's happiness, but on the other hand, you are complacently admiring your appearance that is not even worth mentioning. This is you. The snake demon golden body unceremoniously mocked the black shadow. It's you who ruined me. It's you who ruined my peerless appearance. The black figure angrily accused. Why do I feel that your ruined face is better than your original one? The snake demon golden body sneered. It's you who ruined yourself. Think about all the things you've done. Any one of them is enough for others to despise you 100 times. I can't even say it out loud, how abnormal you are. You ruined me, witch. Don't think you'll have a good time. I'll definitely not let you have a good day. Just you wait, your future is only destruction. The black figure screamed. Don't think that you can scare people just because you're Sky Chariot's sister. Sorry, this identity is useless against me. Scram, I won't kill you. I'll keep you alive and make you feel inferior and jealous for the rest of your life. You won't let me have a good day, right? I'll show you my happiness every day. A bitch like you whose body and mind are all twisted, immediately scram from my world of ice and snow. You don't deserve to stay in such a beautiful world for even a second. The golden snake demon stretched out her hand and gently grabbed the black figure. The black figure was trapped in her palm, unable to move. The golden snake demon statue forcefully pulled a ball of green light out of the black figure's body. Then, it used a light comparable to the sun to annihilate it. Then, it flicked the black figure away like a fly. With a flick of a finger, the black figure was driven away by the divine power. In an instant, it pierced through the world of ice and snow and disappeared without a trace. It was unknown where it was thrown to. At the same time, the originally quiet and silent evil deities Wei Guang suddenly turned into a golden rainbow and shot into the hole. His speed was 10,000 times faster than lightning. In an instant, he had already followed the black figure and left the world of ice and snow. Duo and Pandora were dumbfounded. How could a god escape like that? Yu Yang was still engrossed in kissing Xuanyo, so he didn't see it. Otherwise, he would definitely denounce and protest strongly. What kind of evil deities are you? You're just like a running tortoise. With regards to the evil deities Wei Guang, the golden snake demon statue Queen Vivian Li wasn't surprised at all. After all, this world of ice and snow was controlled by her will. In other words, in this world, she was the god. As for the evil deities Wei Guang who escaped, he was really a running tortoise who wanted to escape, but without Queen Vivian Li's permission, he would never be able to escape. Unless he had a more powerful divinity than Queen Vivian Li, he would be a guest in this world of ice and snow that couldn't escape without the owner's permission. In the next second, when the evil deities Wei Guang returned to the mountain beyond mountain, he realized that the scene in front of him had changed. The golden snake demon statue queen was looking at him. Her eyes were so indifferent as if nothing had happened. There's a little guy. His strength is SOSO, but he brought me a whole new realm. He turned the black hole space that sealed me into a world of ice and snow that is completely under my control. You didn't hear wrong. This world of ice and snow is a black hole space that is 10,000 times more terrifying than the grimoire that sealed your true body. Evil deities Wei Guang, although you're a god, you can't even break the seal on your own body. You can't even get your grimoire and true body back. Do you still dare to escape in front of me, who has comprehended the laws of the world? Empress Fei Wenli, who was in the form of the golden snake demon statue, raised her 6 fists and pressed down on the evil god Dangerous Light like an adult beating up a child. Her fists rained down on the evil god Dangerous Light. The evil deities Wei Guang now completely understood that the saying that he couldn't even take a single blow was the truth. Other than holding his head with both hands, he couldn't do anything else. What evil deities! In front of this violent snake demon goddess, he was just a piece of trash that was born to be beaten. I'll be merciful and forgive you for bullying my child. Empress Fei Wenli, who was in the form of the snake demon golden body statue, suddenly transformed and shrunk. In the end, she became a beauty with 2 arms that was about the same height as Yu Yang. Her perfect snake tail also changed into a pair of white jade legs. She stretched out her snow-white arm that was more crystal clear than a diamond. Her rose-red finger lightly drew a circle in the air towards the evil deities Wei Guang. The evil deities Wei Guang felt that he was surrounded by a kind of divine power. Queen Vivian Li reached out her hand. The divine power that was wrapped around him formed a transparent ball. The originally 2,000-meter tall evil deities Wei Guang shrunk to the size of a bean. He struggled desperately in the transparent ball, trying to rush out. However, all his efforts were in vain. That transparent boundary was a world. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break through that world. Queen Vivian Li, who was holding the small world in her hand, casually placed the small world containing the evil deities Wei Guang on one of the pages of her holy grimoire. Continue to stay in prison. After 10,000 years, if I'm in a good mood, I might consider letting you out. Queen Vivian Li was obviously not in a good mood. This was because Yu Yang kept hugging and kissing Xuan You nonstop, completely ignoring her existence. I can't accept this. This world belongs to you. You have an unfair advantage. The evil deities Wei Guang shouted with all his might, but his voice was as soft as a mosquito's. Shut up. As a prisoner, you should have the self-awareness of a prisoner. Queen Vivian Li couldn't be bothered with him anymore. She casually flipped the holy grimoire to another page. The evil deities Wei Guang probably wouldn't be able to see the light of day again in this lifetime. The only thing he had to do now was to pray that Her Majesty Queen Vivian Li and Yu Yang would have a good sex life. If she was in a good mood, she would be kind enough to let him out one day. Otherwise, he would forever spend the rest of his life in a small world on a certain page of the Holy Grimoire. Maybe one day, when he was lonely, he would think that death was actually a good benefit. But he would never have it, because as a god level and completely in the form of a god statue, he would never have this kind of benefit that only ordinary humans could have. Chapter 1233. You guys haven't seen each other for a long time. We should have spent more time together, but now we don't have enough time. Let's make it up to Sister Wu Xia next time when we have the chance. Queen Vivian Li was all smiles as she looked at Shui Wuxia, calling her sister this and that, affectionately. She even took out a few treasures that had been unsealed because she had returned to the peak and gave them to Shui Wuxia and Duo. However, behind Yu Yang's back, her jade-like fingers forcefully twisted Yu Yang's side. Did you feel good kissing me just now? Queen Vivian Li actually used the imperial husband orchid finger, causing Yu Yang to be in so much pain that he wished he was dead. To be honest, no one had ever used this move on Queen Vivian Li before. Let alone the gentle sickly beauty and the innocent and cute Anan, even the Princess Sisai who would yell at Yu Yang and the tigress who always made Yu Yang feel fear, had never used such a powerful ultimate move before. It was only now that the guy from another world finally realized this fact. The one who threatened to conquer the heaven realm was the Serpent Empress. Not only was her battle prowess terrifying, her jealousy was also greater than all the girls combined. If she had not pinched Yu Yang forcefully, she would have felt a slight pain. A certain wolf's side would probably be bruised. Duo and Xiaonu, who had regained their consciousness, were admiring the treasures given by Her Majesty. They did not notice that Her Majesty's imperial husband orchid finger was being used. The giant loli was as pure as a little white flower and did not know what jealousy was. Only a certain snow girl, who had finally woken up from her long slumber and entered the fantasy wonderland to cultivate, would be able to sense Her Majesty's imperial husband orchid finger. Jealousy and whatnot was normal. Shui Wuxia felt that if she saw this brat hugging and kissing someone and completely ignoring her, she would be very unhappy in her heart. However, he was hugging and kissing her, so naturally it was a different story. From her perspective, not only did this bad boy not do anything wrong, he even did the right thing. Wuxia thanks elder sister. Shui Wuxia also smiled brightly as she received the treasures. She thanked Queen Vivian Li politely and gave Yu Yang a peck on his face to show her appreciation. Initially, Wu Xia wanted to chat with sister for a while longer, but since we don't have enough time, let's make up for it. As for this bad guy, he can't always accompany me. I'll leave him here to help you, sister. Anyway, I'm not in a hurry at all. The main point of Xuanyou's words was not anxious at all. Upon hearing this, the Empress felt so sour in her heart that it was as if she had downed 3 bowls of vinegar. As the Empress and the elder sister, she naturally couldn't be too narrow-minded. The Serpent Queen flashed a charming smile at Xuanyou. On the other hand, Xuanyou did the same. Just like that, the two of them ended their first confrontation at the same time. In this confrontation, sister did not win, and sister Ma Yinghui did not lose either. Before she left, Shui Wuxia even whispered mysteriously to Yu Yang. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was loud enough for the elder sister to hear. Remember to come back early, I'll be waiting at home. I'll give you a surprise then. Under the cold gaze of the Empress, who was clashing weapons, Yu Yang nodded his head mechanically. He almost shouted, "Girl, don't make trouble anymore." Just the counterattack just now was enough for him to die without a burial place. Now, she even added a killing move. Are you afraid that I won't be completely ravaged by the Empress? Only now did he realize that the power of a battle in the harem was actually more terrifying than the likes of Sun King, Ji Wuri, the mysterious man and the evil deities Wei Guang. At least the evil deities Wei Guang and the others could still be seen. As for why the Empress did not show any signs of jealousy towards Duo Duo, Xiao Nu and Xiao Xiaoen, it was probably not because of the deep kiss just now, but because of the fight for the position of elder sister. The Serpent Queen would definitely not call others elder sister. However, this position was not easy to fight for. After all, Xuanyou was an existence that could even suppress strong opponents like Princess Sisai and the Impatiens. Although the Empress had forcefully snatched the elder sister's position, she could not win the favor in an instant. That was why she was jealous. When Yu Yang thought this through, he would be waiting. Xuanyou and the others were all sent back to the grimoire world by Her Majesty Queen Vivian Li. She looked at Yu Yang with a face full of smiles, her lily-white hands gently caressing the side that she had twisted just now. Are you still reminiscing the wonderful taste of that kiss? Yu Yang knew that if he dared to say yes, he would immediately relive the painful taste just now. He hurriedly laughed it off. Actually, I was thinking about the mountain beyond mountain and the sky beyond sky. If they are connected to the tower beyond tower, it is obviously a division of the human valley, unlike the division of the earth valley and the heaven valley. Could it be that the 8th gate, the earth valley, and the 9th gate, the heaven valley, are all fake? If they are all fake, then where are the real 8th gate and 9th gate? Don't change the topic. Even an idiot would know that the earth valley and the heaven valley are fake. The laws of heaven and earth are fundamentally different. Furthermore, I have already gone through the earth valley and the heaven valley, but there are no clues at all. Otherwise, do you think that I have nothing better to do and would retreat after reaching the 9th gate, the heaven valley? The Serpent Queen gave him a flirtatious look. Then why did you keep me here? To find the real earth valley and the heaven valley? Yu Yang pretended to be confused. There is only one person in the world who can pass through the earth valley and the heaven valley. That is the master of the training ground, and also the master of the divine grimoire. Queen Vivian Li pointed her finger at the space between Yu Yang's eyebrows. Little idiot, do you still need me to give you a further hint? That person is you. Only you, under the guidance of the 3 sisters, creation, destruction, and eternity, successfully obtained the qualifications. I, as well as all the previous trial takers, did not have that kind of opportunity. Perhaps they felt that only you had truly understood the true meaning of creation, destruction, and eternity. On the surface, what we comprehended was also creation, destruction, and eternity, but it was relatively one-sided. You, on the other hand, had comprehended a more profound realm that was different from the others. This was the enlightenment that you brought to me after leveling up. It was only after that I understood that creation, destruction, and eternity had a higher and more profound realm, which was why their power was so great. Otherwise, how could I have comprehended the laws of the world so easily? Otherwise, how could I have defeated the evil deities, Wei Guang, and sealed him in this small world so easily? It can't be? I remember that they said I was an idiot at that time. Yu Yang was a little dizzy from listening to them. You're not really an idiot, you're just a little silly. The Serpent Queen covered her mouth and laughed. Then what do we do now? Go back to the endless world directly, and find those 3 little Lolas to interrogate them? Spank their little butts, and forcefully snatch the divine grimoire from their hands? Yu Yang had always been in favor of teaching little Lolas. Obedient Lolas were all taught. He had forgotten who said this, but Yu Yang agreed with it 100%. This is really a good idea. The Empress expressed that she could support Yu Yang in spirit. Forget it, after thinking about it, it's better to abduct them. Yu Yang was not an idiot. If he could spank those 3 little Lolas butts, the pitiful mystic dragon wouldn't have been trapped in the endless world for 1,000,000 years. Although he didn't know what level those 3 little Lolas were, they were definitely not to be trifled with. He couldn't easily spank their butt. The Serpent Demon Empress first summoned Xiao Wenli and gave the little fellow a goodnight kiss. She then sent her precious daughter to sleep so that she wouldn't suddenly appear and stare at them with her big eyes. She didn't want to affect the mood of her husband later. Towards the Empress who had prepared everything, Yu Yang suddenly felt a little afraid. It's over. Could it be that Her Majesty likes to play with leather whips and candles? If that was really the case, then his future blissful sexual life would be completely over. Yu Yang was sweating profusely. If he didn't know that he couldn't escape from the Empress, he really wanted to slip away. Forget it. Wasn't there a saying, if life raped you and you couldn't resist, you might as well close your eyes and enjoy it? It probably wouldn't feel bad to be pushed down by the Empress. Furthermore, he wasn't a delicate flower, so he didn't need her to be too protective of him. With this thought in mind, Yu Yang's heroic spirit immediately increased by 100 times. He took out his sister Pomegranate's powerful charm. Come, push me down as much as you want. Why are you showing such a lascivious smile? The Serpent Queen was speechless. Yu Yang was stunned. Wasn't he going to push her down? What are you thinking about? Before conquering the central shrine and planting my flag on top of the Great Light Mountain, don't even think about messing around. The betrothal gift that I'm asking for is conquering the central shrine. Fortunately, the Empress was talking about conquering the central shrine. If she was talking about conquering the heaven realm, Yu Yang would definitely cry out loud, because conquering the heaven realm was too difficult. The heaven realm was the heaven realm where countless old ghosts lived. Who would have the patience to go to the heaven realm and start a war? He had to push it down as soon as possible. By the time he conquered the central shrine and planted his flag on top of the Great Light Mountain, it would already be too late. Marriage can be delayed. Can't we first bring forward the important nuptial chamber? Don't be angry, let's talk about it. We can discuss it properly. Yu Yang didn't know when he would be able to conquer the central shrine. He felt that waiting for that moment was unreliable. Furthermore, it was a new era with new ideas and trends. It was fashionable to marry after the nuptial chamber. No matter how bad it was, he couldn't fall behind the trend and be separated from the masses. Kiss her first. If you kiss her for as long as you did with Sister Wu Xia, then I'll reluctantly consider it. The serpent demon empress knew that if she wanted to entice this wolf, she couldn't give him too many benefits. That would make him break down. She couldn't not give him any benefits either, otherwise he wouldn't be motivated. Of course, this also included the fact that she wanted to try that sweet feeling herself. She might not be good at other things, but this? A certain wolf could be said to be an expert. No, he was definitely a Grandmaster level expert. As for the Empress' strict requirements, as a Grandmaster level expert, Yu Yang naturally gave it his all and did his best to carry it out. As for whether or not Wolf's claws took advantage of the Empress' intoxicated state to explore her bra during the process of carrying it out, it was hard to say. According to the character of a certain guy from another world, this kind of thing was common in past cases. It wasn't strange at all. Chapter 1234. When the guy from another world met the evil deities Wei Guang, it was more daunting than dangerous. This was because not only did he have Sister Shue's help, he also had the support of the Conqueror Queen who had once swept through the heaven realm. Thus, the evil deities Wei Guang, who was very arrogant in front of the guy from another world, could only unfortunately live in a small world on a certain page of a certain holy grimoire, continuing his leisurely days of being sealed. When Her Majesty Queen Vivian Li remembered to let him out, Yu Yang's 108th generation of grandchildren would probably be able to go to the streets to buy soy sauce. However, there was a saying, different people have different fates. In comparison, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai and Xue Tan Lang, who had also met strong enemies, did not have such an easy time. Tong Tian Tower, the dual arena in a different dimension, the vast land that the old fox had specially opened up. Now, two camps of people were facing each other. On the left, there was the young man who was almost like a god. Standing beside him, there was an old man in a black robe and a middle-aged scholar. Behind them, there were a few Heaven Realm leaders like Lionhead, Sharp Nose and Fangs, 3 heads and 6 arms, as well as the Heaven Realm slaves who were crawling on the ground in fear. Opposite the three of them, Fatty Hai and Yi Kong, Xue Tan Lang and Prince of Tianluo, as well as the Li clan brothers, were facing the entire Heaven Realm enemies. Even though they had entered the vast land that the old fox had opened up, other than them, no one else could enter and help them. From the beginning, the plan was set like this. In order to lure the enemy, Fatty Hai and Yi Kong did not stop risking their lives. There were only 2 results. One was death. The other was to defeat the strong enemies and break through to the next realm. If Fatty Hai and Yi Kong could not defeat the invading strong enemies and all died in battle, the old fox would seal this vast land forever. Unless Yu Yang returned to Tong Tian Tower and needed to open it to avenge Fatty Hai and the others, it would never be opened again. That's right. Everything here is so unexpected and so mysterious. If you just look at the space, you won't be able to tell that it was developed by someone who isn't at the divine state. Even if you are very picky, this space is so perfect. To be able to open up such a battlefield with strength below Heaven rank level 3, Din Shui Dong Lu is truly worthy of being Titan Yu's mentor. In comparison, you so-called leaders of the Heaven realm, you lords who enjoy abundant resources in the Heaven realm should feel ashamed, if you still have the slightest bit of shame. He smiled and looked at Fatty Hai and Yi Kong. If I wasn't my father's son, but another commander of the Central Shrine, I would definitely be defeated by your flawless plan. To be honest, you have really schemed against me. I have no choice but to fall for it. The only pitiful thing is that you have neglected the use of the treasure. The function of the treasure. Yi Kong frowned. That's right. The young man first politely greeted them, just like how he greeted Yi Kong and Fatty Hai. Please allow me to take up a little time to introduce myself. My name is Dong Fong Shi, and my courtesy name is Qin Shi. Some busybodies have also given me a nickname, calling me Young Master Li Ming. Actually, all of this is not because of my strength, but the actions of many thieves to flatter my father. It's really unbearable. I'm sorry, forgive me for speaking bluntly, but we have never heard of any young Master Li Ming. Yi Kong replied bluntly. We also don't want to know who your father is. Fatty Hai even interrupted the other party's words. Chun she originally didn't want to boast, but because my family is actually inseparable from Tong Tian Tower, that's why I boasted. I've made a fool out of myself. The almost godlike young Master Li Ming was not angry at all, and still had a smile on his face. My father Dong Fang, on the surface, is the great hall master of the central shrine, but in reality, he is just an abandoned disciple of Tong Tian Tower. For thousands of years, as his son, I've often seen him sighing and sighing. When asked, he would talk about Tong Tian Tower. Although my father hates everything about Tong Tian Tower, it is undeniable that everything about Tong Tian Tower has long been integrated into his bloodline. Even after thousands of years, not even a little bit of it has been worn away. So your father is that traitor Dong Fang? Yi Kong expressed that he understood. What? Dong Fang? The great hall master of the central shrine? This title really scared your father to death. Fatty Hai pretended to be scared out of his wits. If it wasn't for the wrong choice that year, how could my father, who loved Tong Tian Tower to his bones and soul, betray this beautiful homeland that raised him? For so many years, I saw that his painful longing did not decrease, but instead increased every day. It was obviously his hometown that he yearned for day and night, but he couldn't see it for thousands of years. What kind of pain was that? I understand him and sympathize with him. Young Master Li Ming sighed deeply. I think it's a little contradictory. Xue Tan Lang shook his head. What's the contradiction? Prince of Tian Luo asked. Since you love Tong Tian Tower so much, why did you betray it? Xue Tan Lang was the first to be confused. Do I need a reason to be a traitor? Fatty Hai laughed loudly when he heard this. He slapped his thigh. If the central shrine promised me beauties and treasures, I would betray Tong Tian Tower immediately. Damn it, who doesn't know how to be a traitor? As long as there are benefits, I can betray 100 times a day. Deep love? Deep love for my homeland is just a fart. I'm afraid that people will despise me if I say it out loud, so I just gave it a grandiose name. No matter how the betrayal is disguised, it's still a betrayal. Deep love for my homeland is not a betrayal? If that's the case, then if I rape a girl and pretend to be deeply in love with her, is it not considered rape? I understand, so it's just a memorial arch that prostitutes use to pretend to be chaste. Yi Kong spread his hands, indicating that he completely understood. No matter what, my father's love for his homeland cannot be erased. I also understand that you die-hard warriors despise traitors. I even admire you to a certain extent, because no matter how overconfident you are or how ridiculous your loyalty is, it's still a spirit worthy of recognition. Young Master Li Ming was born with a good temper. He was still not angry. You're done showing off your father, what else do you want to show off? Fatty Hai dug his nose and looked at him with contempt. Actually, I'm not showing off. If I wanted to show off, I could beat all of you to the ground and watch you moan and laugh at me. That would be true showing off. Now, I'm just patiently telling you a fact. That is, no matter how hard you try, against me, young Master Li Ming, who is familiar with all kinds of battle techniques in Tong Tian Tower and controls the #1 treasure in the outer palace of the central shrine, you have no chance of winning. Others might not be able to leave this kind of space, but I have at least 100 ways to leave this space. Even if I don't use those 100 ways, there are still 99 treasures that can allow me to leave this space easily. Young Master Li Ming's expression did not have a trace of impatience. He narrated without any anger, as if it was a natural fact. You're awesome to know that your father is a traitor, and you've obtained a lot of treasures as a traitor. You scared me to death. Are you satisfied now? Fatty Hai sent the bullets flying and yawned carelessly. Very good. Young Master Li Ming suddenly clapped his hands and praised. Hurry up and fight. You're so long-winded. Even a 180-year-old toothless granny wouldn't be as easygoing as you. Can't you just start fighting now? We're all getting impatient from waiting. If you think that you can scare us with just a few words of bragging and releasing a little bit of the aura of a bastard, then you are wrong. Fatty Hai shrugged his shoulders, his belly trembling like a wave. He's just stalling for time. Prince of Tian Luo snorted coldly. Actually, he had already started to make his move. Ever since he came in, he had already used his inherent skill to arrange a battle formation that was beneficial to his side. All the nonsense he said just now was just to stall for time. I admit that it's the truth. Young Master Li Ming was not angry at all as he smiled and said, however, I also want to test how cunning the originally easily agitated Tong Tian Tower protectors have become. What I said just now was not to praise you guys, but to praise Titan you from the bottom of my heart. Ever since he rose up, the entire Tong Tian Tower Guardians have changed completely. If it was in the past, as soon as I open my mouth to provoke a young junior like you, I'm afraid that your blood would have already boiled and you would have rushed forward to fight with your lives on the line. How could you still stand there calmly after seeing through my formation? Are you trying to say that Yu Yang has led us astray? Prince of Tian Luo shook his head. What Yu Yang has given us is not cunning or anything else, but confidence. Indeed, confidence. I agree. Under Titan Yu's influence, you guys have all become confident. Young Master Li Ming nodded. Young Master Li Ming, can't you wait for that brat Yu Yang to come back before you praise us? Even if you praise him now, he won't be able to hear it. Fatty Hai really wanted to record young Master Li Ming's words and broadcast it to Yu Yang. It was so rare for someone to praise him. Although it wasn't the main point, it was still a praise. Let's do it. Bullshit is useless against me. Yi Kong summoned his grimoire calmly. Take out more treasures, this young master is in dire need of them. Fatty Hai had been with Yu Yang for a long time and was used to killing monsters and snatching treasures. He was never afraid of having too many treasures. Now that young Master Li Ming, who was like the god of wealth, had arrived, it was simply his favorite. Be careful. The Li brothers were more practical and warned everyone before the battle. Ice roar. Xue Tan Lang raised both of his hands towards the sky. Under his cold air, the entire vast land immediately turned into a world of ice and snow. His guardian beast, Storm Giant, suddenly stood behind him and pressed its palm against the ground. The ground that was originally covered in ice and snow was immediately swept up by thousands of ice shards and flowers. Forget about the Heaven Realm slaves, even the Heaven Realm leaders like Lion Man Face, Rhinoceros Nose and 3 heads and 6 arms were frozen stiff and their movements were greatly slowed. Other than young Master Li Ming, the middle-aged scholar and the black-robed old man who were not affected, the rest of the people suffered different degrees of injuries from the roaring snowstorm. A small number of weak people had unknowingly been frozen into ice sculptures. Without a sound, they lost their lives. When the storm giant hit the ground with its palm, what appeared in front of them was not more ice and snow, but a ground that was purely made of gold. The boundaries were clear, and there were giant golden bricks that looked like they were made by nature. They were stacked together perfectly, forming an unprecedented giant arena. This gold arena was not much different from a normal arena. It was just that it was made of pure gold bricks, and it was 100 times bigger than a normal arena. No matter its length or width, it was more than 10,000 meters. Its height was also 10 meters high. A thick layer of gold. It was unknown when it was formed, but it was definitely not something that originated from the vast land. If I say that this gold arena, which only allows gold-ranked beasts and above to fight, is only one of our 100 ways to win, how would you, the loyal guardians of Tong Tian Tower, feel? Young Master Li Ming was still smiling as he looked at the dumbfounded Fatty Hai and the others. That kind of expression was like a clever little fox looking at a few chicks in front of it. Chapter 1235. A strong force was born on the gold arena. This was a force that was close to the laws of the world. Yikong furrowed his brows as he flew out of the gold arena. However, what surprised him was that at the edge of the gold arena, a semicircular transparent barrier rose up, enveloping the entire gold arena. Yikong condensed his King Kong strength and struck the transparent barrier fiercely. His strength caused the entire gold arena to tremble. Unfortunately, the transparent barrier was not damaged at all. No one is allowed to leave the gold arena before defeating the opposing camp. Young Master Li Ming explained the rules of this place. Then let's have a showdown. The Li brothers summoned their grimoire as one, summoning their newly obtained silver-ranked heaven-ranked lion eagle, preparing to buff themselves with a lion soul possession buff. The moment they summoned their silver-ranked heaven-ranked beast, they did not wait for the two lion eagles to react. The gold arena immediately produced a special ripple of energy. It immediately chased the two lion eagles out. The two lion eagles could not even return to their grimoire as they were thrown out of the gold arena's transparent barrier. I've said it before, this gold arena only allows beasts that are gold-ranked and above to participate in battles. Any beasts that are below gold-ranked, no matter how strong they are, no matter how special they are not allowed to stand on this gold arena. Furthermore, in this gold arena, no one from any camp is allowed to fight with their own strength. Everyone can only rely on their beasts to fight. Young Master Li Ming maintained a refined and courteous smile on his face as he made an elegant bow towards Fatty Hai and Yikong. If you don't have any beasts that are gold-ranked and above, then I can only apologize in advance. Country bumpkins, it's already good enough to have a beast that is gold-ranked and above. I never expected them to give us a surprise. The middle-aged scholar was now arrogant. He pretended to wave his hand, as if he was a leader inspecting his camp. As he waved his hand, more than 10 gold-ranked beasts appeared behind him, shouting in response. It was a great sound. The black-robed old man did the same. However, the gold-ranked beasts summoned by the black-robed elder were usually demons or undead spirits. There were very few evil beasts with flesh and blood. For example, the demon flame bone dragon made of dragon skeletons, or the cursed evil spirit that crawled out from the cold deathly air. About 30 gold-ranked beasts of different types and attributes stood behind the middle-aged scholar and the black-robed elder. Their oppressive aura permeated the entire area. Every one of them had reached heaven rank level 5. A small number of war beasts had even reached the 6th level of heaven stage. If one were to compare the levels and strength of the Heaven Realm leaders of the Lion-Headed Man and the other Heaven Realm invading army, any of the gold-ranked beasts here could easily kill the Lion-Headed Man and the other Heaven Realm leaders on the spot. The two strongest ones could even kill them in an instant. What method did a gold-ranked beast without intelligence use to reach Heaven-ranked level 6? Yikong and Fatty Hai couldn't understand at all. However, they had heard of this rumor. In the Central Divine Palace, there were some extremely special secret techniques that could raise powerful war beasts with no intelligence or insufficient intelligence to Heaven Stage level 6 or above, crossing the originally impossible barrier of Heaven Stage level 5. Although this kind of crazy increase required an extremely cruel price, it was a huge advantage for the people of the Central Shrine who had a large number of war beasts and did not care about casualties. The current advantage was very obvious. The middle-aged scholar and the black-robed elder both had gold-ranked war beasts that exceeded their own strength. Moreover, they also had a type of super-rank war beast that exceeded the original growth range of war beasts. Even if there were only two, the huge difference between Heaven Rank Level 6 and Heaven Rank Level 5 allowed the middle-aged scholar and the black-robed elder to have an overwhelming advantage. Fatty High first looked at the demon flame bone dragon that had reached heaven rank level 6 standing behind the black-robed elder, then looked at the giant rock ape that had also reached heaven rank level 6 standing beside the middle-aged scholar. He slowly shook his head and let out a long sigh. A gold-ranked war beast that was forcefully raised to heaven rank level 6 Tong Tian Tower. There really wasn't. If Yu Yang insisted on doing it, it probably wouldn't be difficult, but the problem was that no Tong Tian Tower warrior had ever thought of using this method to raise the level and strength of war beasts. He didn't dare to say it was comprehensive, but for the vast majority of Tong Tian Tower's warriors, their beasts were their battle companions. Some beasts' status was even like family or friend. Very few people only treated their beasts as a tool that could be changed at any time. The warriors of Tong Tian Tower paid a lot of attention to the loyalty and compatibility of their beasts. Even the heartless guy from another world, Yu Yang, would never treat his beasts as slaves. As a grimoire holder, Fatty High found that he couldn't do the same thing as the middle-aged scholar or the black-robed elder. There was no way to turn all these war beasts that belonged to him into a fighting tool. This kind of war beast had no free will. In other words, they didn't have any will. This was because they had either died from the infusion of power or their consciousness had been annihilated. They only had a body with great strength for their master to command and fight. As walking corpses or undead spirits, there was naturally no way to talk about their loyalty. How high was their fusion with their master in battle? It wouldn't make people feel optimistic either. The only thing that made them strong was their level and the power that didn't belong to them. Is this the result of pursuing power too much? Luckily we didn't go down the wrong path. Shui Tan Lang's eyes flashed with disgust. I've never been willing to deny other people's lives, but in this situation, I can't help but explode with anger. What you guys are doing is really disgusting. In order to pursue power, you guys even abandoned the bottom line of life. Compared to Shui Tanlang, Prince of Tianluo couldn't tolerate this kind of blasphemy. If these people killed his war beasts, he wouldn't be too angry. However, these people in front of him, in order to pursue higher levels and greater power, had turned his war beasts into such a state. This really angered him, who had a good upbringing and a good temper. What a joke! Isn't power the only thing you guys pursue? Why are you guys struggling so hard? Isn't it just to obtain greater power? You guys let your war beasts bleed and sweat for you, even sacrificing their lives for you. What is it for? Isn't it just to win? We're just using the same method as you guys, but it's smarter. First, we increase the strength of our war beasts, then we smoothly obtain the final victory. What's wrong with this? On the contrary, if your war beasts die in battle because of your hypocritical hypocrisy, then they might as well become our level-surpassing war beasts. At least that way, they would have a stronger protection and an immortal body. The middle-aged scholar calmly faced Prince of Tianluo's anger, as if he was already used to this kind of anger and wasn't surprised at all. Our war beasts are our companions, friends and even family. Prince of Tianluo was completely angry. He didn't want to argue too much. He only summoned his platinum grimoire and summoned his guardian beast, Flaming Winged Heavenly Demon. The Flaming Winged Heavenly Demon was a combination of Skyfire Meteor and Flying Stone Demon. Its original potential was already excellent. Afterwards, after Yu Yang gave it the Sky River Blood Pool, which came from Qi Tian He's sacrifice, the Flaming Winged Heavenly Demon's marrow was cleansed and its potential was limitless. After several months of nurturing by Prince of Tianluo, the Flaming Winged Heavenly Demon, with its master's help, it had already comprehended and cultivated the Sky River Divine Flame, which was second only to Yu Yang's Scarlet Heavenly Divine Flame. It could be said that although it was only heaven-ranked level 4 now, its true strength was no longer the same as before. Prince of Tianluo originally wanted to nurture it into a divine flame demon king. However, it didn't have much time. Before it could level up, it had no choice but to rush back to Tong Tian Tower to participate in this war. The flaming winged heavenly demon and Shui Tan Lang's guardian beast, Storm Giant, stood on the left and right, resisting the pressure of the opposing war beasts. Very good, I like this kind of young man. The black-robed old man looked at the Storm Giant, then looked at the flaming winged heavenly demon. He clicked his tongue and nodded. The more potential a young man has, the stronger the puppet warrior that is refined will be. Of course, because this kind of young man's resistance spirit and will is strong enough, the vengeful spirits in his dead body would be more abundant. If he refined a cursed death guard, that would be the best choice. Resist, be angry. I like young men with a rebellious spirit and their war beasts. As you can see, behind me are all my spoils of war. Back then, they were all like you, courageously challenging me to a duel. However, it's a pity that their ending was the same. Of course, you guys are no exception. We won't fail. Yi Kong suddenly replied resolutely. On what basis do you say that? The middle-aged scholar was a little confused. No matter how he looked at it, his side would definitely win. Why was this brat so confident? Because we are Yu Yang's teammates, his brothers. Under his leadership, we will never fail, no matter if it was yesterday, today or tomorrow. Yi Kong's face showed an unshakable self-confidence. Seeing this expression, the originally calm and unperturbed middle-aged scholar and the black-robed old man were both stunned. As for the almost godlike young Master Li Ming, he still maintained a slight smile. I understand your confidence, but please allow me to correct your mistake. That is, Titan Yu is not here. He is not by your side, you are fighting alone. He is not by our side, but there is no difference if he is by our side. We will still not lose. The Li brothers stood up and stood together with Yi Kong. This is the will that he gave us, the unshakable will to fight. Under this kind of supreme will to fight, no matter who you are, in the end you will definitely lose. Unshakable will to fight? Young Master Li Ming's expression suddenly became serious. Every warrior of Tong Tian Tower who has the qualifications to stand in Heaven Realm must have this kind of will to fight. This is the difference between us and you guys. Prince Tian Luo stood up and faced the enemy with Yi Kong and the Li brothers. Shui Tan Lang was silent. He was not pursuing the supreme will that he comprehended in the gate of life and death, but the power of the ancient code that was based on the supreme will. Now, there was only one person standing at the back. That was Fatty Hai. Young Master Li Ming, who had a solemn expression before, looked at Fatty Hai as if he had found an old friend that he had not seen for a long time. He smiled and said, I think Brother Hai De Fu hasn't comprehended Sovereign's will yet, right? He knew about the Gate of Life and Death test in Tong Tian Tower. Although he had not tested it before, he knew how abnormal and difficult it was. For a demon king like Fatty Hai, young Master Li Ming would never believe that such a lecherous and greedy person could pass the test of the Gate of Life and Death and comprehend the unshakable supreme will in the Gate of Life and Death. Thus, he felt that he had finally found the breakthrough point of this team formed by Titan Yu. In this team, the weakest one wasn't the giant king Kong Ape Yi Kong, who had an almost immortal body, nor was it the knowledgeable prince of Tian Luo or the strongest Shui Tan Lang. It wasn't even the twin Li brothers who had the same determination. It was the greedy, lecherous, and cowardly Fatty Hai, Hai De Fu. Fatty Hai was the weakest in the team. Then, what was Fatty Hai's weakness? Chapter 1236. Fatty Hai's weakness? In the eyes of young Master Li Ming, who had already obtained detailed information on Hai De Fu, if she were to point out Hai De Fu's good points, other than being thick-skinned, she wouldn't be able to find a second good point in this greedy and lecherous Hai De Fu. On the contrary, if one were to talk about Fatty Hai's weaknesses, they were as many as the hairs on an ox. greedy, lecherous, cowardly, lazy. This fellow had almost all the weaknesses that a human could have. He also had weaknesses that normal people didn't have. In young Master Li Ming's eyes, Fatty Hai was simply a weirdo. For trash like Fatty Hai, other than wasting rice, young Master Li Ming couldn't think of any other use for him. He really couldn't understand why Titan Yu, who pursued perfection, would accept trash like Fatty Hai, who was even worse than trash, as his teammate. A trash like Fatty Hai, other than dragging down the whole team's strength and ruining the team's reputation, what else could he do? Why would Titan Yu let this Fatty Hai stay in the team to gain experience that was not any less than the talented Xue Tanlang? This was simply inconceivable. Young Master Li Ming tried to put himself in Titan Yu's shoes many times, but he still couldn't understand why Titan Yu would do this. Keeping a teammate like Fatty Hai was the same as leaving a fatal weakness for the enemy. Yet Titan Yu did this. Moreover, he never changed his mind and never reduced Fatty Hai's position in the team. It was precisely because of this that young Master Li Ming felt that he couldn't see through Titan Yu. It was obviously a bad move. Why did Titan Yu still insist on doing this? Was it because Fatty Hai was his first friend? What made young Master Li Ming even more puzzled was why Yikong, Xue Tanlang and Prince of Tianluo didn't reject or isolate Fatty Hai from the team. Although Yikong often beat up Fatty Hai in front of others, he had never officially expelled Fatty Hai, this trash-like teammate. It must be known that after Titan Yu left the Heaven Realm, he handed over the management of the team to Yikong. Yikong held a lot of power in his hands. The strange thing was that this grumpy and straightforward skinny guy had never really expelled Fatty Hai. He even often helped this incompetent teammate who only knew how to eat and drink to his heart's content and only knew how to drag the team down. Was the friendship of Skysplit Tower really that strong? According to the collected information, the people of Tong Tian Tower were famous for their infighting. Looking at the entire Heaven Realm, there was no race that liked infighting more than Tong Tian Tower. In the Heaven Realm, there would often be battles to the death between races. This was very normal, but it was very rare for a battle to the death to occur within a race. Tong Tian Tower was the opposite. What they loved the most was to have internal conflicts. Their own people would fight to the death with their own people. Even if it was fathers killing their sons, sons killing their fathers, brothers killing each other, let alone a race with so many people, even if it was a family, they would still kill each other. According to logic, a race that loved internal strife like this should be easy to conquer. After all, they were like a plate of loose sand, unable to unite. However, there was something unexpected. When facing the invasion of other races, the races of Tong Tian Tower, at the critical moment of life and death, were extremely united. Furthermore, their fighting spirit was incomparably unyielding. Many Heaven Realm rankers recognized that they were tough bones. There were even a portion of the warriors that protected Tong Tian Tower. It could be said that they would rather die than submit. If not for the fact that Tong Tian Tower also had a portion of traitors, young Master Li Ming would think that this was a race that could not be conquered. Tong Tian Tower was an inconceivable place, and the beings inside Tong Tian Tower were also unreasonable existences. Young Master Li Ming reflected. She felt that her own father was more or less like this. On one hand, he was a ruthless overlord that used his unparalleled intelligence to toy with his enemies. On the other hand, he was fanatically and persistently hating the land that he loved deeply and could never forget. Every day, he wanted to conquer and even destroy the beautiful hometown that he had dreamt of thousands of times. Young Master Li Ming felt that no matter what, he would never be able to understand this kind of feeling. Was this love or hate? If it was love, then this land should be carefully protected. If it was not love but hate, then he should immediately use the most vicious and cruel methods to destroy this land, making it disappear forever. Love and hate, these two existences were opposite. However, from his father, young Master Li Ming saw such a contradictory and inconceivable existence. It was similar to how Titan Yu, who pursued perfection everywhere, tolerated a piece of trash in his team and took care of him everywhere. The people of Tong Tian Tower are a combination of contradictions. Young Master Li Ming sighed softly and got rid of this thought. He was not a person of Tong Tian Tower, so he did not need to worry about this place. Other than conquering, there was no need for him to be as complicated as his father. As a son, he would at most let out a sigh, just like how he did just now. Then, he would calmly judge his enemies with a higher and more superior mentality, with the identity of a proud son of the central shrine. Before killing all of his enemies, he would first restrain them and casually toy with them. Torturing this kind of opponent in front of him gave him a bit of pleasure. If possible, young Master Li Ming really wanted to see Titan Yu, who was deified by the people of Tong Tian Tower. Unfortunately, before that, young Master Li Ming had to wait patiently. Young Master Li Ming maintained enough patience, walked forward and slowly stretched out a hand. Although I don't pay much attention to you, please forgive me, I really can't pay attention to an opponent like you. However, Haida Fu, I have also collected some information about you. Moreover, before my subordinates fight with you, I have decided to introduce a friend to you first. Welcome, the very satisfactory friend I found in Tong Tian Tower, Shun Tian. Young Master Li Ming waved his hand lightly. Shun Tian, his former opponent, who had been driven mad by Fatty Hai, appeared in front of Fatty Hai again. At this time, Shun Tian. His face was no longer crazy, and his eyes were no longer confused. On the contrary, his reason had all returned. Although he was no longer arrogant, he was more vicious and vicious. The killing intent between his eyebrows was like a knife. When Fatty Hai saw this, he immediately cried out involuntarily, "Shun Tian, you are a traitor? How can you be a traitor?" Shun Tian strode forward and lowered his golden head, staring at Fatty Hai like a tiger staring at a small insect. He grabbed Fatty Hai's collar with his huge hands and lifted him up like a chicken. Shun Tian pulled Fatty Hai to the tip of his nose, his golden eyes bursting with endless killing intent. "In order to defeat you and regain my former glory, I can do anything. As long as I can crush you like a small insect, I don't care about anything. In order to win, no matter who I work for, I can accept any conditions." Fatty Hai almost peed his pants. If Yi Kong and Xue Tan Lang hadn't burst out with great strength and forcefully snatched him back from Shun Tian's hands, maybe he would have been scared to death on the spot. Fatty Hai, who was thrown onto the stage by Shun Tian, was crying and drawing circles on his face. He muttered to himself dejectedly, "I thought that only a shifty-eyed person like me would want to be a traitor. I didn't expect that such a handsome guy like Shun Tian would also become a traitor. Actually, I don't have any malicious intentions and I don't have any discrimination against Master Hai. Here, I can make a promise that as long as Master Hai doesn't participate in the battle between us and remains neutral, then no matter the outcome of this battle, our camp will not make things difficult for Master Hai. Doing this is definitely not a betrayal, but a kind of rational evasion, avoiding life and death dangers, avoiding difficult predicaments, and saving himself for more important times. Such a small and immature proposal, I wonder if Master Hai would consider it? Young Master Li Ming felt that the time was ripe. His side's breakthrough point was Fatty Hai. He knew that he had enough strength and time to easily defeat Yi Kong, Xue Tan Lang and the others. But young Master Li Ming didn't like brute force. Instead, he liked to be like his father, using his superior wisdom to defeat his enemies. Like his father, he liked to play with his enemies anytime and anywhere. That was what he wanted. For the time being, he didn't have the chance to fight Titan Yu. Whether he was deified or not, how exaggerated the legend of Titan Yu was, and whether his reputation was not as good as meeting him in person, He still couldn't confirm all of this, because Titan Yu had not returned from the Heaven Realm. However, the touchstone of Titan Yu was right in front of him. The team formed by Titan Yu himself, the young elites of Tong Tian Tower that all clans were proud of, was right in front of him. How to toy with them one by one until they collapsed, making them completely despair of following Titan Yu, and finally commit suicide. This was what young Master Li Ming hoped to achieve. Titan Yu had formed them, giving them strength and belief. Now, he wanted to break them apart, wither away their strength and destroy their belief. Only then, young Master Li Ming would feel that he had won the battle against the legendary deified Titan Yu. Unconditionally neutral, that is impossible. Fatty Hai hesitated for a second, looking at Shun Tian, whose strength had increased by who knows how much. He shamelessly squeezed out a smile, licked his lips and said greedily, "Unless you give me one, no, 2 treasures, there's no need to talk." Ah! Young Master Li Ming laughed heartily. Originally, he was still a little worried. After Titan Yu had transformed Fatty Hai, would he be like Yi Kong and the others, possessing the will of an innate elder, completely changing his personality? In the end, it was proven that a leopard could not change its spots. Fatty Hai was still Fatty Hai, greedy and lecherous, just like before. Even Titan Yu could not change this trash-like scum. After Titan Yu formed the elite team, Yi Kong, Xue Tan Lang and the others were undoubtedly a successful change. From weak to strong, Yi Kong, who had almost starved to death in the first floor of Tong Tian Tower, had now grown into a guardian of Tong Tian Tower with the will of an innate elder. Xue Tan Lang and Prince of Tian Luo were also the same. Unfortunately, this change was not complete. At least, this Fatty Hai did not receive any fundamental change. Through repeated tests, under the pressure of the Golden Arena, the gold-ranked beast and his former enemy Shun Tian, this greedy Fatty Hai, who did not have the will of an innate elder, submitted. Young Master Li Ming was in a good mood. He felt that he had won a small battle with Titan Yu. This was because he had found Fatty Hai's weakness and made a breakthrough. He had successfully buried an unstable factor. On Yi Kong, Xue Tan Lang and the others, young Master Li Ming did not expect to find any other way other than to kill them. No one could do anything to loyal and devoted death warriors. However, being able to separate Fatty Hai from the elite team formed by Titan Yu was equivalent to giving Titan Yu a slap in the face. Ha ha ha, I promise you, as long as you remain neutral from now on, I will give you 3 treasures, and one of them is even a holy ranked treasure. Young Master Li Ming was pleased with himself as he made a generous offer. If you leave your friends now and stand to one side, I will give you this golden arena. This is an extremely rare treasure even among the holy ranked. Really? Fatty Hai's eyes lit up, as if a pervert had seen a naked beauty. I have plenty of treasures. You must know that I am the son of Dong Feng, young Master Li Ming, who is famous for the number of treasures I have in the central shrine. Young Master Li Ming stretched out his hand confidently and took out 2 platinum-ranked treasures. Seeing this, Fatty Hai secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He looked at Yi Kong a little embarrassedly and quietly moved a little to the side. Then he looked at Xue Tan Lang and secretly moved a little to the side. Yi Kong sent him flying with a kick and pointed at the complacent young Master Li Ming angrily. You want to use treasures to divide us? Do you think that a mere 2 treasures can make Fatty Hai abandon his friends and join the enemy? What a joke! If this was possible, he would have been sold by the enemy long ago. Put away your tricks, this kind of laughable method is completely useless against us. Fatty Hai crawled up and realized that Yi Kong was staring at him with a murderous gaze. He immediately withered. He said weakly, Yes, that's right, I, young Master Hai, am not a traitor who forgets his friends for money. What treasures, I have them all. 2 platinum-ranked treasures are nothing. 2 holy-ranked treasures are more like it. No, I didn't say anything, I will not surrender. Monkey, don't worry, I still have my wife's money with you. Young Master Li Ming laughed. I naturally have the 2 holy rank treasures. Young Master Hai can just continue to remain neutral. There's no need to surrender, how about that? Fatty Hai suddenly coughed lightly. I will not remain neutral. Cough, why don't we negotiate? Anyway, we don't have any enmity with each other, nor do we have any hatred towards each other. Let's talk things out. Yi Kong was furious. Shut up, there's no place for you to speak here. Young Master Li Ming laughed loudly. He threw the 2 platinum-ranked treasures to Fatty Hai, causing the latter to be stunned. He then smiled leisurely. I indeed have the intention to negotiate. Otherwise, why would I have such a long and patient discussion with you? If we don't have to fight to the death, it would be much better for everyone to sit down and discuss things slowly. You are right, we don't have any deep hatred. Why should we fight each other? I have always been curious and have a good impression of Tong Tian Tower. I don't have any ill intentions. If I didn't follow my father here, I wouldn't have taken up such an important position. If we want to negotiate, we have a solid foundation. Young Master Hai, as long as you facilitate the negotiation, no matter what the result is, I will give you 2 more holy-ranked treasures. How about it? When Fatty Hai heard this, he was elated. He looked at young Master Li Ming with eyes full of red hearts. Negotiation, we want to negotiate. We want to coexist peacefully and love each other. Young Master Li Ming smiled and looked at Yi Kong. What do you guys think? Yi Kong was silent. Shui Tan Lang was also silent, as cool as an iceberg. On the other hand, Prince of Tian Luo revealed a warm smile like the winter sun. Very smart, young Master Li Ming. You said so much and purposely used treasures to divide our friendship. You just wanted to divert our attention so that we wouldn't be able to detect the golden flame god flag that you secretly planted. Do you want to know what I am going to say next? Young Master Li Ming, you are very smart and cunning, but don't treat others like fools, okay? Other than that fool Fatty Hai, who would want your treasures? Who would accept an enemy's gift? Fatty Hai immediately raised his voice to oppose. Hey, I am not a fool. These treasures were obtained for free. Young Master Li Ming, are you really not going to negotiate? Then I will kindly accept these 2 treasures. I won't return them to you. Ha, I picked up 2 treasures for free, how great! He didn't finish his sentence. The 2 treasures in his hands immediately flashed with a white light, forming a special white light cage that trapped Fatty Hai inside. No matter how Fatty Hai struggled, he couldn't break free. Negotiation? That is necessary. A strange smile appeared on young Master Li Ming's face. However, I will have to wait until all of you are lying down. You should know that I don't like people standing and bargaining with me. Moreover, you might not know that in this world, only dead people are the best people to negotiate with. Because no matter which dead person it is, they will not go against my opinion. As soon as young Master Li Ming's words left his mouth, a large banner flickering with golden light appeared behind him. Immediately, there was a kind of power that was similar to the power of the ancient code, surpassing the restraining power of the golden arena. It enveloped the entire arena. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.